My dad made me choose one of the 10 goddesses to marry. This video is purely for entertainment and does not violate copyright or laws. The rights to the novel and the image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Chapter 276. From now on you will be called Titan. Zhu Ruan put her hands in her trouser pockets and scolded him lightly. It's annoying. What are you yelling at? There are so many people. Are you embarrassed? Feng Lin. Question mark. You didn't ask about your grandmother. I screamed. He now understands less and less about women's brain circuits. Boss. This is a betrayal. Jinguji Akada grabbed Feng Lin's arm. I don't care, as long as you call me wife from now on, I will agree. Are you ashamed? They didn't call you. What did you promise? Zhu Ruan felt very happy, but she felt that this was not enough. What does it mean to be truly happy? That is to let Lan Rao call her sister all day, bring her tea and water, rub her shoulders, and wash her feet. That's really cool. Thinking of this, Zhu Ruan's face became solemn and she began to need to make a long-term plan. Suddenly, Feng Lin's phone vibrated, and he picked it up and looked at it. It was Zhamu's call. What's wrong? Feng Lin asked. You come to the police station. After interrogation, you will find that this person is not simple. Zhamu said there. You guys are busy, I'll go to the police station. After Feng Lin said that, he got into his car and headed to the police station. After arriving here, I found out that Director Li Jun was also here. When he saw Feng Lin come in, he immediately approached him. Mr. Feng Lin, after interrogation, it was discovered that this time criminals trafficked people from all over the country, saying that these people would become glorious experimental subjects. Experimental subjects. Feng Lin's face darkened. Is he a real human being? Yes, this is the confession of our interrogation. Take a look. Li Jun took out a piece of information and handed it to Feng Lin. Feng Lin watched carefully. His face became more and more ugly. These people were simply worthless. Their purpose is to brainwash these children or women into tools. Finally, select some with good natural physique and deliver them to the organizations mentioned above. Organizations use these people to conduct experiments. This should be a real human being. Can you contact the previous organization? Feng Lin asked. I asked, but they can't. Only the people above can contact them, Li Jun replied. Okay. Report this matter truthfully and imprison these people first. If the higher-ups contact them, please notify me immediately, said Feng Lin in a deep voice. I'll do it right away. Li Jun nodded. Zhamu in a distance pursed his lips, wondering who this Feng Lin was. In fact, it made his boss respect him a lot. You haven't asked your grandmother about this yet, so you should take the time to ask her. When the matter was over, Feng Lin returned and found Zhu Ruan being violently beaten by Jinguji Qihui. He was too lazy to go there, so he stayed at Zhu Ruan's villa and began to formulate a battle plan. He planned to destroy the ninth sect. The sooner the better. Lian Dao told herself the address and would probably notify the ninth sect. If I passed by there, everyone would move away. So much wasted effort. This time the members besides him were Sukong Jin, Jinguji Qihui, and Yan Yuanbai. 4 people in total. The only uncertain factor of this time is the sovereign. He was unsure of the specific strength of the ninth sect leader. If its strength is much greater than that of the evil spirit of the first land. Feng Lin felt that this mission was likely to fail. I had an encounter with the 6th evil of Earth before. If only I could bring out all the hidden tricks. I should barely be able to kill him. But this is only the 6th Disha, there are 5 more before him. No way. Feng Lin scratched his head. It was so different, let alone the 4th, 5th and 7th children. It's okay if you can escape, but if you get caught, you will be in trouble. Do you want the second master to come? Feng Lin lay back on the sofa, sighed and asked the second master to come. There would be no one to take care of Yishin's house. Finally, Feng Lin decided to discuss it with the second master. He is well informed and may know the strength of the leader of the ninth sect. Thinking of this, Feng Lin got up and walked to the opposite door, preparing to chat with Men Changshen. As soon as he left the villa, Feng Lin's cell phone rang. He took out his cell phone and looked at it, the corners of his mouth raised slightly. It turned out to be a call from the same month. He had returned a long time ago, but the people of Jianlan were still running around the city like headless flies. Xiao Yu, what's wrong? Feng Lin asked with a smile. Brother Feng Lin, do you have any news about the 25 Disha? Tong Yu asked there. No, I already investigated the KTV. I should have escaped through the window, Feng Lin said with a smile. Hey, it's getting more and more troublesome. I received news that the leader of the ninth sect also knows that the 25 land spirits are hiding in Gushi and plans to come in person. Tong Yu said helplessly there. When Feng Lin heard this, there was a burst of ecstasy on his face and he was worried that he would not be able to deal with the leader of the ninth sect. He himself wants to leave the sect. Feng Lin asked with a smile, how does the ninth sect master compare to Disha in strength? Aren't you talking nonsense? The teacher is definitely not comparable to Disha. I won't say anything else. I will investigate for a few more days. After you finished speaking, he hung up the phone. The leader of the ninth sect is coming to ask for it. If I don't rob the house, I will be sorry for this. Feng Lin smiled and walked towards the villa on the other side of the door. He was ready to leave immediately. Come to the villa opposite. Zhou Wang was sitting on the grass to rest. Feng Lin walked over, looked at Jin Guojiqiu and Yan Yuebai and said, follow me. After that, he went to Sakam Jin's room. Inside the villa, Yi Shen stood in front of the notebook. He's been working here these days and feels pretty good. Yi Dan was sitting on a sofa, watching TV with Du Qingyu. By the way, Feng Lin, I have already bought a plane ticket and am going home to see my mother. Du Qingyu saw Feng Lin coming in and walked over with a smile. Okay, I think you should listen to your mother and start training from the basics. Don't do such dangerous tasks again. After Feng Lin finished speaking, he took the two of them to Sakam Jin's room. Sakam Jin was playing a game and when he saw Feng Lin and others coming in, he silently took off his headphones. Let's set off immediately and march towards the Nine Nethers, the ninth sect. Feng Lin looked at the people around him and got straight to the point. Boss, isn't the second master going? Yan Yuebai asked. No. The second master is responsible for staying here to prevent the enemy from sneak attacks. Feng Lin looked at the people around him. What's more, all of you are on the verge of a breakthrough and must go through a life-and-death battle. Okay. Sakam Jin only said a word and began to play again. Let's get going. Think about why we made such rapid progress in the past. Now it seems that you three are retired, Feng Lin said lightly. I have scheduled the flight for tomorrow. I will take the day today to prepare. After that, Feng Lin left. Arriving at the courtyard of the villa, Feng Lin looked into the distance. On the top of Zhu Ruan's villa, there was a pair of big white ears. Like snow, the little fox is watching here secretly. As if noticing Feng Lin's gaze, the little fox immediately jumped up. Feng Lin returned to Zhu Ruan's villa and found that the little fox was already nesting on the sofa. He walked over and picked up the little fox and put it in his arms. You said you won't leave, do you plan to be my pet? Then should I give you a name? Feng Lin scratched the little fox's chin. From now on, you'll be called Titan. Chapter 277 Internet Celebrity Registration Location. Woo. The little fox shook his head vigorously, anger in his eyes. How powerful are you? From now on, I will call you Titan, Feng Lin said coldly. Woo. The little fox shook his head again, his eyes becoming pitiful. Feng Lin was also very surprised. This little fox was so human. He feels that people have changed. Hey. I'm so exhausted. Not long after, Zhu Ruan walked in. He stretched his body lazily and took a shower first. After a while, he walked out and sat on Feng Lin's sofa opposite. Zhu Ruan usually wears a simple ponytail. But her appearance with her hair down is very feminine. As long as she didn't speak and sat quietly, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to call her a fairy. What are you looking at? If you look again, your eyes will be gouged out. Zhu Ruan puffed her mouth slightly, although she accepted Zhao King. But there was a small knot in his heart. Before she could act against her own man, other women snatched him away. Honey, what should I do if King connects with me again? Feng Lin asked with a smile. If you dare to cooperate with her, I will bite that thing off of you. Zhu Ruan said viciously. Actually, it's your fault too, Feng Lin said calmly. You said you are so beautiful and I still call you wife, but what about you? I won't let you touch me. HMPH. Shameless person. You think about it all day. Such a thing. Zhu Ruan crossed her arms and said coldly. In fact, he also felt that it was time to give Feng Lin some new benefits. But she herself is quite traditional. For now, she feels that the two have not tied the knot yet, so they are not officially married. Doing that kind of thing with Feng Lin now seems too casual. You're overthinking it. I just want to give you a hug and a break. What the hell, do you think I'll kill you? Zhu Ruan suddenly blushed and rolled up her sleeves. And approached. Feng Lin hugged the little fox and sighed lightly. Hey, tomorrow I have to go on a mission again. This mission is very dangerous. What mission? Zhu Ruan asked immediately. He usually talks openly when talking to Feng Lin, but that's just his character. Naturally, he was very worried about Feng Lin. In this mission, we have to work with Qihui, Feng Lin said, rubbing the little fox's belly. What? You're not allowed to go. Shang Gong's eye is so powerful, her mission must be very dangerous. Aren't you going to die if you go? Zhou Wang walked over and grabbed Fen Lin's arm and said, But I am a doctor and a soldier. It would be too embarrassing if I backed away at this time. Fen Lin sighed deeply. Zhou Wang secretly clenched her fists and blamed herself. If you are strong, you can follow him and protect Fen Lin. By the way, King can be considered my woman. I'll go say goodbye to her. Fen Lin pretended to stand up. Sit down. Don't think I don't know. What are you thinking about? Zhou Wang pulled Fen Lin and lowered her blushing cheeks slightly. Tell me, what do you need me to do before I leave? I want to relax. Give me a full body massage. Fen Lin looked at Zhou Wang. Hey. I'm giving you a head start. Zhou Wang grabbed Fen Lin's hand and walked upstairs. Fen Lin immediately threw the little fox onto the sofa and followed Zhou Wang with a smile. The little fox bared his teeth behind Zhou Wang's back. Fen Lin and finally secretly followed the two of them and went upstairs together. In Fen Lin's room, Fen Lin was lying on the quilt. Zhou Wang took off her puffy sports clothes, revealing black stockings underneath. As outlined vividly, Zhou Wang knelt on Fen Lin's back and pressed his back with both hands. Although the technique is crude, the strength is quite good. Fen Lin closed his eyes and enjoyed it. Zhou Wang lay down next to him, puffing her cheeks slightly. It's okay, my hands hurt. Can you tell me what you didn't accomplish last time? Fen Lin put his arms around Zhou Wang's slender waist and looked at her with a look of resentment. The blush on Zhou Wang's face instantly spread to her ears and she said in a panic, We'll talk about it later, at night. It's fine at night, but one who sneaks in and sees us, I don't care. Fen Lin chuckled. You big bastard. Shameless. Zhou Wang's face became more and more red, but Fen Lin's mission tomorrow was dangerous. He also didn't want Fen Lin to regret it. Just this time Zhou Wang quickly closed the curtains on the window and door, and lay down with her head down. He immediately covered himself with the quilt and then arranged his clothes with his hands inside. After that, he whispered as softly as a mosquito, I'll give you 10 seconds. Fen Lin immediately stuck his head under the quilt. Zhou Wang's body trembled like an electric shock, causing her brain to lose the ability to think. Zhou Wang pinched the soft flesh of Fen Lin's waist, immediately ran to her room and closed the door. This is so embarrassing, that bastard Fen Lin is so disgusting. Fen Lin opened his arms and looked at the ceiling. The second master really didn't lie. Greatness is justice. He couldn't help but think of Zhao King. The lessons he learned were good, but combined with his small body, they were always unsatisfactory. If it was Zhou Wang and Fen Lin didn't dare to think about it. Suddenly, he felt like someone was watching him again. He looked up and saw the little fox in the closet next to him. His eyes were full of disdain, as if he were looking at a pile of garbage. Fen Lin pointed at him and said, Titan, I am happy today and won't bother you anymore. The next morning, Fen Lin called a few people from Dead Night and prepared to go to the destination. Zhou Wang saw Fen Lin leave and went to fight with Zheng Guojiqu who is man. He needs to improve his strength quickly. Yinshan. It was noon when Fen Lin and others arrived here. I remember Lian Dai saying that its specific location was in a town called Ilgu. Fen Lin checked the map and took some people to a small county near Ilgu. They planned to stay here. The small village is too small, so there's no need to think about it to know that there must be an informant from the 9th sect. What Fen Lin wanted was surprise. They carried out the same mission as always, with a light disguise. Fen Lin went to the hotel alone and got a room. The owner here is a fat woman with a perm. Fen Lin smiled, leaned on the reception table and asked, Madam Boss, is there a town called Ilgu nearby? Yes, it is about 7 or 8 kilometers from here. The town is close to the dangerous area of the Ella River. Recently, there had been many internet homes going there to register. The landlady found that it was a handsome young man and began to speak excitedly. Haha. Looks like we found the right place. I'll take some photos nearby. Fen Lin handed over the money, took the old key and went up to the 2nd floor. This hotel only has 2 floors, after all, it is a municipal seat in a mountainous area. The facilities are very dilapidated. Fen Lin arrived at his room and opened the back window. In the blink of an eye, 3 figures appeared one after another and jumped into Fen Lin's room. Bao Si, Bao Yu, you two wait here, Lao Qi and I'll go investigate first. Fen Lin put on his cap and left the hotel with Yan Yubai. They had just arrived outside the hotel and saw a feminine man walking in the distance, broadcasting live on his mobile phone. Suddenly, he saw Yan Yubai here, and immediately smiled at the screen and said, Brothers, I see a little fairy, give me a rocket and I will go talk to her. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Mundo Fanfic Novellas, we cordially invite you to visit our channel. There you will find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 278. I have 200,000 fans. Fen Lin chose Yan Yuebai for his speed and concealment ability. Although she is currently at the peak of being a grandmaster, her stealth skills are absolutely top-notch. Boss, how do we get there? Yan Yuebai asked with a smile. It's only 7 or 8 kilometers, just run there. Fen Lin looked at his phone and opened the map to see which direction was closest. The feminine man in the distance has yellow hair and earrings in both ears. He is obviously a man, but he is wearing a lot of makeup. He pointed his mobile phone camera at Yan Yuebai and said with a smile, "Brothers, look, I'm not lying to you, I'm not a tech." Almost instantly, the number of bombardments on the screen increased several times. Wow. It's true. I can't resist girls with short hair. Whoever wants to shoot a rocket at me. I want to see Brother Jin chatting with beautiful women. He can't be an actor, right? This woman is your friend. When Zhu Jin saw this bombardment, he immediately said, I am definitely not an actor. I like you and killed my entire family. As soon as he finished speaking, someone on the screen fired a rocket. Seeing this, Zhu Jin immediately smiled and said, Thank you Brother BA for the rocket. Since the rocket has arrived, I will leave immediately. Fen Lin had already determined the direction, picked up his phone and said to Yan Yuebai, follow me, let's go. As soon as he finished speaking, Zhu Jin stood in front of Yan Yuebai with a smile. Beauty, where are you going? Can I see you off? Zhu Jin smiled, took out the BMW car keys, and waved them in front of Yan Yuebai's face. Yan Yuebai didn't look at Zhu Jin at all. She was the weakest and lowest ranked in the Dead Knight. The rest of the people usually take care of Rome. She also acts as a younger sister. But this does not mean that Yan Yuebai is a talkative woman. Faced with such ants, he usually does not even look at them. Fen Lin did not pay attention to those people. He pointed to a small path and said, Follow this path and you will reach the south. Okay boss. Yan Yuebai nodded with a smile and prepared to rush there. Zhu Jin stood in front of Yan Yuebai again and said with a smile, Beauty, I have so many fans watching, give me some face and eat with me. Yan Yuebai frowned slightly. Just as he was about to speak, Fen Lin stretched out his hand to stop him. Brother, don't you realize that this is my girlfriend? Fen Lin said coldly. What's wrong with your girlfriend? Brother, don't be so selfish. Beauty belongs to everyone, Zhu Jin said with a smile. Do you think you have a lot of humor? Fen Lin's face turned cold. Brother, don't look so scary. What? Do you still want to hit me? I have 200,000 fans, Zhu Jin said with a smile. Give me face, let your girlfriend stay with me for 2 days, let's get together. Let's go to a show together and I'll give you the money, right? 20,000, is that enough for 2 days? Fen Lin slapped him. Broken. Zhu Jin's body fell and his light broadcast phone fell to the ground. Fen Lin took the phone and threw it at Zhu Jin's face. Boom. The phone shattered, Zhu Jin's teeth broke, and his mouth filled with blood. Ah. Zhu Jin covered his mouth and groaned, Do you even know who I am? Believe it or not, I will kill you with just one sentence. So who are you? Tell me. Fen Lin approached expressionlessly, stepped on her leg. Click. Ouch. Zhu Jin howled, his face turned pale with fright. He didn't expect to encounter such a cruel person. Brother, I was wrong. The effect of the program. This is the effect of the program. Were you being stupid during the live broadcast? Didn't you think it was packaged by the guild? If Fen Lin didn't have something else to do, I would really have a good chat with him. But this time there was still an important mission. He turned around and looked at Yan Yuebai. Let's go. Okay. Yan Yuebai continued to Fen Lin, and the two headed towards the uninhabited mountain road in the distance. He disappeared in the blink of an eye. Wait for me. Ah. Zhu Jin mimicked blood and shouted, Help. Help. You village. Fen Lin and Yan Yuebai wore hats and arrived at the outskirts of the village. This place is located halfway up the mountain and it seems that there are only 100 households. Fen Lin actually felt the fluctuation of the key here. Zhao, let's separate. It will be faster for the two of us to find our nest. Fen Lin smiled at Yan Yuebai. Okay boss. After Yan Yuebai finished speaking, he walked away. Fen Lin put his hands in his trouser pockets and went to search. To the ancient warrior, the opponent's strength is quite good and has entered the realm of transformation. It turned out that he was in this village. It was almost certainly the spy of the Jiao worth walking in the village. Fen Lin discovered that there was Many cars here, many of them luxury. If you look carefully, you can see that there are many young men and women, all with mobile phones and cameras. Fen Lin shook his head slightly just as the landlady said, "This place has become a place for internet celebrities to register." He has no feelings for those people, neither agrees nor opposes them. As long as you play your own game and don't affect other people, you'll be fine. That you just broadcast affected others, especially if it was broadcast live. When you stop them, they complain about the effect of the program and say that you don't understand the mood. These kinds of people, as long as they dare to provoke me, I will beat them every time I see them. Fen Lin reached the middle of the mountain based on the fluctuation of his breath. I found a small restaurant here. There were many cars outside the restaurant. Fen Lin lowered the brim of his hat and walked in. The small restaurant here was renovated from a common dwelling and the area was originally small. It was already noon and the place was full of people. Fen Lin looked around and found only one empty seat, so he sat on it. In an instant, everyone else looked at Fen Lin. Fen Lin was a little surprised. Could it be that he was so handsome that he couldn't hide his charm even if he was so low-key? He looked up and realized that the three people at his table were girls. Especially the woman around him is quite beautiful. Wearing red casual clothes and a single ponytail, her eyes are very beautiful, giving people a ladylike feeling. She was eating a bowl of rice with egg and tomato with her head down and seemed very reserved while eating. After taking 2 bites, wipe your mouth with a tissue. Boss, big beef noodles. Fen Lin lowered his head and pretended to look at his phone. Okay, you're right. The noodles are just cooked. Everyone else has been waiting for a long time, a middle-aged man with a bulging belly said with a smile. After a while, the middle-aged man brought several bowls and placed them on other people's tables first. Finally, he placed it in front of Fen Lin. Fen Lin kept his head down. The fluctuation in his breathing did not come from the boss, but from his backyard. However, Fen Lin was also a little hungry. He ate without any image and out of tune with the girls around him. Faga. Faga. The sound almost spread throughout the small restaurant. Finally, the woman sitting next to Fen Lin laughed out loud, haha. It smells good, right? It's okay, I'm just a little hungry. Fen Lin didn't even look at the woman and responded casually. This woman is very beautiful, but Fen Lin is never short of beautiful women around him. The woman was also a little surprised. Fen Lin was sitting next to her, just eating and had no other intention. She smiled and asked, "Don't you know me? Who are you?" Fen Lin looked at the woman. "Boy. What are you talking about?" A strong man stood on the table next to him. "Sit down," the woman greeted the strong man and said with a smile. "After all, I am a musician. I participate in high-end variety shows. It is normal that the townspeople don't know me." Fen Lin nodded. "Yes, I'm right. I don't know much about musicians, but I know that one Runxi is quite beautiful." In an instant, the temperature of the surrounding air dropped sharply. Chapter 279 Rest in Peace. Although the overt and covert competition between celebrities is not carried out openly, the private competition is very fierce. When talking about current Chinese musicians, there are 2 names that cannot be mentioned. Wen and Xia. They are both the best musicians in China, with the same skills and many fans. In many competitions, everyone is their first place. Therefore, as long as people on the internet compare the 2, the comments below will definitely turn into a war of words. Nobody obeys anyone. The woman in front of her is Guya. This time I came to the dangerous place of the Ella River to record the MV. Fen Lin didn't know Guya, but told him that he knew Wen Runxi in front of her. This is a slap in the face. Fen Lin really wasn't lying. He really knew Wen Runxi as a musician. After all, the 2 knew each other. Boy, who was Wen Runxi? Do you know who he is? Guya has won awards at international music festivals. Among our current Chinese musicians, Miss Guya is the well-deserved number 1. Sitting on a seat, the 2 women in front of Lin said with joy. As for his appearance, it is quite flattering. Sorry, I don't watch much TV, so I don't really know him. Fen Lin shook his head and continued eating noodles. Then why do you know Wen Runxi? Guya asked with a smile. I heard his music accidentally, then I looked it up and found that he is very popular, Fen Lin said lightly. Then let me give you one copy of my album, autographed. Guya smiled and greeted her assistant. I want that thing to be useless. I'm just a brick builder. I think your things take up space, Fen Lin declined, not to mention that he had a mission this time. Even if there's no mission, he is not interested in this kind of thing. Take up space. Guya's face gradually solidified. A little embarrassed, my own autograph cannot be sold online for hundreds of dollars. In fact, he took up space in front of this person. This is too insulting. Guya couldn't stand it anymore and became excited. He immediately took out his hand. Listen to this piece of music of mine and feel how it compares to when Rexy. Guya put his phone on the table and the music played slowly. Add all and set the noodles. In 3 strokes, 5 divided by 2, I finished the beef noodles. Then he wiped his mouth, took out the money from his body and headed to the kitchen. Guya clutched his fists, turned off the music from his mobile phone and lowered his head to eat rice. Miss, I guess that person did it on purpose. That's right, as long as you're young, who doesn't know you? He's trying to get your attention. It's also possible that he's a fan of when Rexy deliberately angers you. Hey. When Rexy's fans are really unqualified. Guya felt a little better after hearing the comments of several people around her. After Lin entered the kitchen and gave the money for the meal, immediately grabbed his stomach and said, I'll use your bathroom. After saying that, without waiting for the other party's reaction, he ran towards the backyard. Hey, buddy. Cooking and they couldn't leave, Lin could only let Lin in. Lin felt the breath and opened the door of the room. There was a bald old man sitting here, drinking a drink and watching TV. Lin walked in, closed the door, and took off his hat. When the old man saw that it was Lin, his face suddenly panicked. He got up from the sofa and tried to escape. But his body was frozen in place. He also wanted to escape, but in this situation, he didn't. There was no way I could escape. Do you know me? Then I won't show up. Lin smiled and sat next to the old man. Tell me, where is the 9th sect? Take me there and I'll let you go. I don't know you. What are you talking about? The old man said cautiously. Don't tell me. Then I'll find a way for you to tell me. Be patient, it might hurt a little. Lin took out the silver needle from his body. Seeing this, the old man finally became frightened and knelt on the ground. Spare my life, I will take you there, but please let me go. Okay, you also know that I am a decent person and I won't talk like that. It doesn't count. Lin smiled and spread his hands. Take me now and you can go. Mr. Death Doctor, you can call me La Shan. I am the person placed here by the 9th sect. La Shan said with his head lowered. He who knows the current affairs is a hero. Take me there now. Lin took back the silver needle and stood up. La Shan walked forward and opened the door. Lin followed La Shan. After passing through the kitchen, they came to the place where everyone was eating, and La Shan suddenly grabbed Guya by the neck. Dragging his body, he shouted at Lin. Stay still. Otherwise, I will kill her. Smell the old man, you are looking for death. Several nearby security guards rushed over immediately. Without even looking, La Shan slapped a strong man in the face with his backhand. Blew it. The powerful force hit the strong man until blood came out of his mouth and he fainted. The remaining security guards were scared when they saw this. What's going on here? Knocking someone unconscious with a slap, how powerful is this old man? They dare not act rashly now. One is unbeatable. Secondly, this old man is actually capable of killing Guya instantly. Don't move or I'll kill her. La Shan grabbed Guya's neck and backed away little by little, without leaving his hands on Guya's neck. Facing Lin, he did not dare to relax at all. Your life could disappear in an instant. I won't move. Lin raised his hand with a smile. As long as you let her go, you can go. I believe you. La Shan stared at Lin, continued to retreat, and had already left the hotel, arrived at the mountain road. But still don't you dare relax. After reaching 100 meters away and failing to see Lin, he threw Guya to the ground. He quickly disappeared here. Guya is a knowledgeable person and reacted quickly. The other party's appearance should be that of an ancient warrior. But although he is so strong, why is he afraid of Lin? This shows that Lin should be a stronger ancient warrior. The other party is still a young man. If you can recruit him, it would be a good choice. Thinking of this, he immediately ran to the previous hotel and found that Lin was not here. Miss, are you okay? A security guard asked with concern when he saw Guya returning safely. What was that young man just now? Guya asked. When that old man caught you, he followed you, an assistant of Guya explained. Guya looked towards the door, lost in thought. Lin followed La Shan silently, hoping that he could go to the 9th sect to report the news. La Shan desperately fled in the direction of the Yellow River. He looked back from time to time and found that no one was catching up, so he was relieved. On the top of another mountain, there is a dark hole in the shape of a circle. The diameter is approximately 1 meter. He looked around and when he saw that no one was around, he jumped inside. His figure disappeared here and Lin immediately appeared. He jumped to. After about 10 meters, it landed. It's you. After Laotian landed, he found that Fen Lin had followed him. Before he could speak, Fen Lin had already crushed his neck. Rest in peace, Fen Lin whispered. Unexpectedly, the Jiaworth Ninth Sect was hidden here. He has already felt that there are many powerful fluctuations there. There are many divine orifice realms. This time is enough for a good fight. Chapter 280 I am Dr. Fen Lin did not go in to alert the enemy. He took the old man's body and left. The experts inside are likely to discover the use of penetrating power to destroy the corpse here. He still had to be careful and give the other party a surprise. Drag this body away from the Ninth Sect's location. It was not until he could feel the breath of those strong men that he destroyed the corpse. After that, he called Yan Yuibai. Boss, I haven't found it yet, Yan Yuibai said there. I found it. After saying this, Fen Lin hung up the phone and sent Yan Yuibai a location. This is on top of another uninhabited mountain. After a while, Yan Yuibai appeared here. Boss, where is the Ninth Sect? I used my skills to almost travel here, but I couldn't find the location of the sect. Yan Yuibai approached strangely. Because your sect is underground, Fen Lin said with a smile, we won't go back. We will directly send the address to the 4th and 5th sons and ask them to come. Okay. Yan Yuibai nodded. And he took out his mobile phone. Send the coordinates here to Ok Genguji. He then called Genguji Ok's phone number and told him that they had found the place. Now you can come to Sakam Jin. The two sat on the top of the mountain and waited silently. In about 10 minutes, Sakam Jin and Genguji arrived from a distance. Boss. Have you found the location? Ok Genguji walked over with a smile and asked, carrying a guitar bag. Yes, Fen Lin nodded, squatted on the ground, and said with a smile, old rules, I will give you 5 minutes of buffer time. The remaining people stayed here, moving their bodies gently. By the way, boss, what was your identity when we killed you? Yan Yuibai asked. I like to have a beginning and an end. This time we still use the name Dead Knight, Fen Lin said lightly. Back then, Dead Knight were disbanded because of Jiaworth. Trade no. 3, no. 6 died. So this time, let's use Death Knight to seek revenge in Jialand. I don't care. Sakam Jin took out a pair of white gloves from his pocket and put them on his hands. Then, she took out a mask from her body and covered her beautiful cheeks. On the mask is the word for. Ok Genguji opened his guitar bag and took out 2 weapons. On his back he carried a black tachi. Another short knife hung next to him. After that, he also took out a mask. On the white mask, the word 5 was written. Yan Yuibai also took out a mask and put it on, with the word 7 written on it. Fen Lin also took off his mask. Remember to listen to my orders. Don't be reluctant to fight. As long as I tell you to retreat, I will leave immediately. The other 3 people nodded. Okay. Let's go. Fen Lin also put on the mask. Under the leadership of Fen Lin, the 3 of them arrived at the dark cave together. Several people jumped together and fell to the ground. It is surrounded by rocks and in front of it is an entrance to the cave. Fen Lin put his hands in his trouser pockets and walked in front. After taking a turn, everything in front of me suddenly became clear. This is a huge underground palace, just like the cemetery Fen Lin went to last time. The difference from the last purpose is that the light source here turns out to be a street lamp. You can also hear the sound of water flowing here and it is close to the Yellow River. They should at least depend on hydroelectric power. There are several guards here. They noticed someone coming in and immediately gathered around. Who are you? How dare you and dare you and... When several people saw the masks in front of them, their legs trembled with fear. Not to mention them, as long as they are ancient warriors, they all respect and fear these masks. Faga. Genguji Ok took out the sword and inserted it into the scabbard on his back. The necks of the people in front of them spurted blood and fell to the ground. Let's go. Fen Lin opened his arms and shouted at several people. Swish, brush, brush. The 3 ran away. Fen Lin followed a few people, acting as a wet nurse. If the sect leader was not here, almost no one here would be Fen Lin's opponent. I remember what I said before. In the same month, among the 72 Earth Evil Spirits, only the top 10 Earth Evil Spirits have entered the realm of penetration. But the top 10 dish are all in the hands of the 1st and 2nd sect. Therefore, the 9th sect, except for the sect leader, does not have any scope of penetration. They're enemies. They're enemies. It's Dead Knight. Number 1 is here. Notify Master Disha immediately. Everyone here screamed and was full of fear. I didn't expect Dead Knight to find this place. Ordinary disciples, facing the Dead Knight, are like weeds, they can cut it as much as they want. About a minute later, powerful power fluctuations arrived from a distance. Boom. Boom. In the distance were two people, one of whom had her gray hair in a bun. The other is a middle-aged man, fat and with a scar on his face. The strength of both of them has reached the divine realm. A mere dead knight dares to break into our base camp. Aren't you afraid of death? The gray-haired old man stood with his hands behind his hands and said calmly, "Have you forgotten the tragic death of the dead man? Member of the night." Boom. Sikam Jin stood up and the ground beneath his feet instantly collapsed. His eyes flashed green, like a wild beast running in the desert, heading straight towards the gray-haired old man. The old man's strength is almost equal to Sikong, and he is currently at the middle stage of the divine orifice realm. I want to see if a group of brats can play so well. The gray-haired old man and Sikong Jin came face to face. Jinguji clenched his sword and rushed towards another middle-aged man. Buzz. His eyes flashed with golden light. Attacking the middle-aged man. Yan Yuebai's current strength is at the peak of a grandmaster. The one he faced was also a Disha, but his strength was very low and he was at the same master level as her. Put his hands in his trouser pockets and stood there watching the battle between several people. On the contrary, Sikam Jin suppressed this old man. Jinguji Akada and the middle-aged man are evenly matched. Is it a disadvantage? Because there are too many realm masters here, she can handle several of them alone. Even so, Fenlin didn't take action with him in that dark night. Has heard the myth of the Doctor of Death. They did not dare to provoke this murderous god. Finally, the gray-haired old man who was fighting Sikam Jin roared, "What are you doing standing still? Are you standing still waiting to die?" After his reminder, countless people crowded together and rushed towards Fenlin. "Don't kill me, brothers, I am the doctor, you kill them." Fenlin pointed to the three people fighting in front and said, "Boss, stop the bleeding." Yan Yuebai's figure was like a ghost, turning into a black shadow and flashing towards Fenlin's side. Fenlin took out silver needles with both hands and stimulated Yan Yuebai's acupuncture points to stop her bleeding. After that, Yan Yuebai ran out again. Fenlin gently shook the silver needle and said with a smile, "You saw it, right? I'm just an assistant, you don't care about me." Everyone, join together. This number one is fake, they are deliberately scaring us. It's true. This man is the medical soldier they are carrying. They are afraid that we will kill him, so they let him wear the mask of the Death Doctor. The people around them began various analyses. In the end, everyone in the darkness rushed towards Fenlin. Chapter 281 Baby. There was a smile on Fenlin's lips, but it was hidden behind the mask and those present could not see it. When these people rushed towards Fenlin, they found that Fenlin suddenly disappeared. Everyone immediately looked left and right, ready to search for him, and found Fenlin appearing in his original position again. Moment. Faga. A straight red line first appeared on the necks of dozens of people around him, and then blood spurted out. Boom. Pour a large piece. When the people who came one after another saw this, their faces turned pale with fear and some even collapsed. Because almost half of these dead were at the master level. This type of teacher is a well-known figure in the outside world, no matter where he goes. Unexpectedly, they were cut down like grass. He is the Doctor of Death. He is the Doctor of Death. Everyone shouted at the top of their lungs and everyone backed away in fear. The reputation of the Doctor of Death, in the ears of ordinary people, is that of the God of Death. Fenlin's side fell silent again and no one dared to show it alone. He looked at Yan Yuebai fighting, already at a disadvantage. Then, Fenlin took out a special thumbtack from his left belt. With a movement of the finger, along with a thread of light, it accurately stabbed into Yan Yuebai's back. Yan Yuebai took a deep breath and all the blood that was originally flowing from the wound stopped. "Thank you, boss." Yan Yuebai held the dagger in his hand and ran into the crowd again. Oh. Sikam Jin's figure flashed next to Fenlin, his white gloves already stained red with blood. As for his opponent, he was already lying. Fourth, guard the entrance of the cave and don't let anyone out. After Fenlin finished speaking, he walked directly into the depths, always feeling that there was some master inside. If the ninth sect is worthy, apart from the sect leader, there are only 2 divine orifice realms. Fenlin didn't believe it. It was as if he had entered a deserted place. Everyone, upon seeing this legendary Doctor of Death, was so scared that they moved out of the way and did not dare to take a step forward. Upon entering the palace, the architecture looks like a beehive. Circle after circle, there are many caves in the cliffs and all the people live inside them. When they discovered that someone had broken in, many women around were screaming and crying. Fenlin casually grabbed a running woman and asked calmly, "Where is the sect master?" "The sect master is out, the sect master is out." "Don't kill me," the woman said in a panic. "Where does he live?" Fenlin asked. In the center of the square in front, there is an underground cave. It is the holy land of the Sectmaster. I have never served the Sectmaster and have never been to it. The woman suddenly pointed to the middle-aged woman. With an explosive figure in the distance, she often serves the Sectmaster. Whoosh! Fen Lin's figure flashed before he approached the middle-aged woman and grabbed her neck with one hand. Spare my life. Spare my life. This woman's eyes were full of fear. She was one of the Sectmaster's favorite women. She was the first to be arrested and at first she resisted a little. But since the sect leader fell in love with her, her status here has also increased. Everyone was respectful when they saw her and little by little she fell in love with her. He never thought that someone would dare to invade this place. Where is the sect leader's residence? Take me there, Fen Lin said coldly. Yes. Please come with me. The woman led Fen Lin to the center of the square. There was a hole like the mouth of a well and a staircase leading down. The woman walked in front who led the way and Fen Lin followed her. After descending to a depth of about 30 meters, they reached a huge underground cavity. Fen Lin raised his head. The height between the ground and the top was only about 5 meters. There are many lights around and the place is decorated, all white. It doesn't feel depressing at all. There are many closed rooms around, all locked. Only the door of the living room that was directly opposite was open. You can see the interior from a distance. It is similar to the living room of a normal villa. What's here? Fen Lin asked, pointing to the room next to him. I don't know. I usually accompany the Sectmaster to the living room. I have never been to the surrounding rooms. The woman shook her head. Fen Lin closed his eyes and listened. His expression suddenly startled, and there was a fluctuation in his breathing. He went to a room and kicked open the stone door. Buzz! In the dark stone room, a pair of blue eyes flashed. Oh! The people inside instantly ran out and attacked Fen Lin. Fen Lin dodged it easily, grabbed the opponent's face with one hand, and pushed him against the stone wall behind him. Boom! The stone wall behind was shattered open. Divine aperture peak. Not bad, enough for the fourth child and the others to play. Fen Lin threw the old man out casually. The old man's body spun in the air and landed firmly on the ground, looking at Fen Lin in shock. He ran away without looking back. Are you breaking through the realm? Fen Lin came to other rooms one after another and broke the doors one by one. The first room is full of very precious medicinal materials. Although it is much inferior to the Defier Lotus Seed. But after Fen Lin's observation, it was equivalent to the heavenly materials and earthly treasures he ate when he was a child. Mosquito legs are also meat. Fen Lin planned to retrieve them so that his Dead Knight members, or Zhuang, could use them. He opened another room and discovered that it was full of weapons. Swords, daggers, everything. Fen Lin took out his black scalpel and struck it in one fell swoop. Click. A long sword snapped in response. The scalpel my father gave me seems to have never met an opponent until now. Fen Lin casually took out a sword with a dark gold blade. He threw it casually and the sword directly pierced the stone next to it. You must know that Fen Lin just did it casually and did not use any force. What a sword. Fen Lin raised his eyebrows in surprise. These things can also be removed. Especially Jin Gujiak, who originally relied on weapons to fight. Although her tachi is also black, she soaked and blackened it. In short, it is colored. Its purpose was to have the same color as Fen Lin's scalpel. These should also be removed. Fen Lin came to another room, kicked it open and found a small nest inside. He knelt down and looked carefully, and he could still see white hair. Fen Lin thought to himself, it should be the place where the little foxes were fed before. There were only these few rooms. After that, Fen Lin took the woman next to him and walked towards the living room. Did you ever say where you couldn't go in this room? Fen Lin asked. There was one place, which was the closet in his bedroom. The woman remembered it clearly. Last time, another woman and I accompanied the Sectmaster. The woman just opened the closet and was killed by the Sectmaster. Oh. Fen Lin, she laughed lightly and said, take me there. Yes. The woman nodded and led Fen Lin to the bedroom. The decoration here is almost the same as outside. The woman pointed to the closet next to him and said, this is the closet. Fen Lin opened the closet and found that it was full of clothes. He took out all the clothes and threw them on the floor. He found a small door at the back of the closet and opened it with one hand. Kick. Behind the cabinet is a hidden compartment. The area is not large, about half a meter deep. Fen Lin took out the contents. Chapter 282. It's great to have free sex. There are only 2 in total. It is a piece of metal of unknown material. Fen Lin watched carefully and was surprised to find that it turned out to be a kung fu technique. This is priceless for some people. The other was a ceramic bottle. Fen Lin opened it and found that it was a pill. Just by looking at it, Fen Lin didn't know what it was, so he could only take it back and examine it carefully. After packing up the metal pieces and elixirs, Fen Lin continued to ask, "Besides these, is there any place I can't go?" "No more, I only know these." The woman shook her head and cried, "Please let me go. Come on, don't kill me. Come on, you have nothing to do here." Fen Lin waved his hand at the woman. The woman was relieved and fled immediately. Fen Lin took off the sheets here, went out, took out all the precious medicines and placed them on the sheets. Finally he folded it into a bundle and carried it at his back. As for the weapons here, Fen Lin filled his pockets with daggers. He also held a pair of swords and Fen Lin broke the remaining ones. Couldn't remove. I seem to like the feeling of stealing. It's great to have free sex. Fen Lin walked out with a smile. It was already a mess outside. The old man who had escaped earlier was alone against Sikam Jin, Jinku Jiku and Yan Yubai. Even so, the old man still had the advantage. "Boss, I can't survive. I have no energy left." Seeing Fen Lin come out, Yan Yuibai's body slammed into Fen Lin's and he lay on the ground panting. Fen Lin threw all the weapons in his hands onto the ground and took out the thumbtacks. His back. "Isn't that a shame? You've almost entered the realm of divine orifices, so you don't want to work hard anymore." Yan Yuibai stood up from the ground, stood up, looked at Sikam Jin and Jinku Jikyu who were fighting bloody battles in the distance and ran again. Fen Lin stayed here and nodded secretly. Fen Lin had heard the second master say before that Yan Yuibai came from a very powerful force. Speaking of which, she is a little princess, so her tenacity is naturally different from Sikam Jin. As for Jinku Jiakuhui, she was once considered an orphan and had been following Fen Lin. Later I went to the island country to inherit the family business, so naturally I was not spoiled as much. Boom. Suddenly there was a loud noise, and the two weapons in Jinku Jiakuhui's hand shattered directly. A mouthful of blood spurted out and the body flew back. Fen Lin immediately jumped up and hugged Jinku Jiakuhui from behind. "It seems that I have reached my limit," Jinku Jiakuhui said while vomiting blood. "Not enough. I'll give you a few more states." Fen Lin took out thumbtacks and stimulated several meridians of Jinku Jiakuhui. He pointed to the weapons on the ground and said, "Pick two that are useful." Jinku Jiakuhui took a deep breath, picked up a Miao and a dagger and ran again. Fen Lin put his hands in his trouser pockets and looked at Sikam Jin. Still as strong as ever. Although Sikam Jin's nickname is Sikam Empress, he is not a girl. Fen Lin described his fighting style as that of a beast. No matter who the opponent is, how strong he is, his momentum will never be lost. The more you fight, the braver you become. Now Sikam Jin's body was dyed red with blood, but he still fought head-on. Fen Lin needed him to go beyond the limit and enter the late stage of divine aperture, so he did not add any status to him. The closer you are to death, the more potential you can unleash. Boom. At this moment, Sikam Jin, who was fighting with the old man, the green light in his eyes became more and more intense. His body seemed to tremble and then his strength instantly increased to a new level. Shocked the old man back. "Fourth. Come back," Fen Lin shouted. His purpose was not to kill this master who was at the peak of his spiritual acuity, but rather to allow him to help improve his combat power. The fourth child has already entered the last stage of spiritual acuity, so there is no need to take risks again. Sikam Jin suddenly retreated and dodged in front of Fen Lin. As his body relaxed, he sat on the ground as if he were weak. "Get some rest, your mission is over." Fen Lin took out some silver needles from his body and helped Sikam Jin stop the bleeding. Sikam Jin sat on the ground, holding his knees with his hands to calm his body. Fen Lin looked at the old man in the distance. He should have guessed that everyone in the Dead Knight wanted to use him to level up. But he didn't run away because he had the same idea. "I want to break through the realm of penetration through this battle." Fen Lin didn't care. Even if he could enter the penetration realm, he could still kill him. With sword light and sword shadow, Jinku Ji waved the sword with both hands and fought head-on with the opponent. As for Yan Yuibai, he can only use his speed and movement to harass. Sudden. Jinku Jiakuhui's sword was caught by the old man. Immediately afterwards, the old man's other hand grabbed Jinku Jiakuhui's neck. Brush. Jinku Jiakuhui's other short sword pierced the old man's body. Seeing this, Sikam Jin was ready to get up and help. Fen Lin pressed his shoulders with both hands. "Ah!" Jinku Jiakuhui's veins burst and he let out a long roar, his eyes filled with golden light. Seeing this, the old man chased Jinku Jiakuhui away. He covered his wound, turned around and ran away. "Brother, don't go, there is another one here." Fen Lin's figure blocked the old man. The old man was so angry that he mimicked blood and let two young men advance one after another. He was not a philanthropist. Now that he is injured, there is no need to stay here. Even if he really enters the realm of penetration, his injured body may not be able to defeat the Death Doctor. To help two of your members advance, let me go. The old man asked, covering his body. Sorry, no, Fen Lin said lightly, unless you tell me where the 9 others are. Don't know. The old man shook his head and looked at Yan Yubai, preparing to use her as a hostage. Then there's no need for you to live. Fen Lin took out the scalpel and gently turned his fingers on the ring at the end. His toes tapped the ground lightly. Loud crash. Loud crash. Da, brush. Blood gushed from the old man's neck. Fen Lin didn't know when he appeared next to him. Boom. After all this was over, the ground where Fen Lin was standing suddenly collapsed. Boss. You are still so fierce. Yan Yubai approached Fen Lin with a smile. Do you still have the courage to smile? Everyone has successfully moved on to the next step, but you are still standing still, Fen Lin scolded. Okay boss, the level of this mission is not something Zhao Qi is capable of. Jinggu Jiqihui walked over with a smile and put his hand on Yan Yuibai's shoulder. Yes, in this battle, Zhao Qi can't fight head-on and can only run away, not to mention that she is in the Great Realm. Sikon Jin also stood up from the ground and said in a low voice. I was wrong, boss. I feel a little close. Maybe I can enter the Divine Orifice after sleeping in a few days. Yan Yuibai grabbed Fen Lin's arm, lowered his head and shook her. I'll leave the hard work to you this time. Fen Lin walked over, put the large bundle of medicinal materials on his back, and stuffed the weapon into his arms. Yan Yuibai stuck out his tongue. How many people ran away? Fen Lin looked around and found that almost everyone was gone. About 30 or 40, but most of them are not ancient warriors and none of them have broken through the transformation realm, Sikon Jin said in a low voice. It's okay, I didn't expect this mission to go so smoothly. There are so many good things for free. I wonder how the leader of the 9th sect will react when he sees this situation. Fen Lin couldn't help but laugh. Chapter 283 What is an ancient warrior? Fen Lin took out all the silver needles and thumbtacks from the bodies of several people and asked the 3 of them to leave first. Now they were all covered in blood. And carrying so many things on your back is not very convenient for meeting people. Fen Lin asked them to go back to the hotel first, and when they returned, he would buy them some clothes. After the 3 people left, Fen Lin went to his hydroelectric power generation site. Sure enough, we saw that the water of the Ella River is diverted here. Fen Lin kicked this place open. The water of the Ella River instantly poured into the entire cave. Fen Lin escaped immediately. As for the underground palace, it was completely filled with water and disappeared. Fen Lin looked at the sunset on the horizon. He didn't expect to spend so much time inside. He put the mask away and moved it slightly. He didn't know where the 8th sect was, so he couldn't wait. The 8th sect must have more treasures than here. Fen Lin put his hands in his trouser pockets, hummed a tune, and prepared to leave. But they found a film crew packing their things on the edge of the Ella River not far away. The heroine this time is Guya. She had also finished recording the video and was about to get in the car and leave, but she noticed Fen Lin. He motioned to the staff to wait a moment and trotted over immediately. We meet again. Guya walked up to Fen Lin and showed a smile. Haha, maybe it's fate. Fen Lin spread his hands with a smile and left without looking back. Seeing this, Guya always felt a little angry. She was obviously a big star, so why didn't he look at her seriously? Is it possible that one Runxi is really better than him? Where are you going? I'll be back and I can take you, Guya shouted at Fen Lin's back. No need, I also want to visit other places, Fen Lin greeted. What's your name? Guya called from behind. My name is Men Chang Shen. Fen Lin, as usual, let the second master hold him when he had nothing to do. After saying that, he quickly left. Men Chang Shen, I remember you. Guya clenched her fists coldly. Fen Lin did not stop here. He arrived at the previous county seat without stopping. First he returned to the small hotel he rented. The 3 people from the Night of Death returned and washed their bodies, but now their clothes are in tatters. Boss, you have so many treasures this time. Yan Yuibai smiled at Fen Lin and said, let me eat it for a few days and I guarantee that I can enter the Divine Orifice realm. These things are for you. Food. Fen Lin said to several people, I'll buy you a set of clothes. The model hasn't changed, right? Boss, I have changed. Jinggu Jiqihui suddenly lowered his head and said timidly. The size of the underwear is 1 size larger. Wow. Is this the second growth of the 5th sister? My size has not changed at all in the past 2 years. Yan Yuibai enviously grabbed the body of Jinggu Jiqihui. Fen Lin also went with Yan Yuibai's hands. In fact, for Jingu GQ, as long as he wants to perform this action, he will definitely agree. But Fen Lin always regarded her as his sister and always felt that she couldn't bear it psychologically. I only buy coats. Fen Lin rolled his eyes. He was a grown man, but he didn't know what others would think of him when he bought that kind of thing from them. Ordinary black sportswear will do. As before, Sitcom Jin sat on the chair next to him. Fen Lin nodded. Let's just have 3 sets of sportswear. I'll wear them for a while anyway. Okay, my model is 1 size larger than before, Yan Yuibai said with a smile. I still follow the old rules, Feng Gong GQ also said. Fen Lin left with a smile and went to buy clothes for the 3 of them. Walking down the street, Fen Lin suddenly found someone following him. He deliberately walked towards a car on the side of the road and observed several people behind him through the rear-view mirror. I don't know any of them and they're not ancient warriors, they just look like gangsters. Fen Lin shook his head and didn't bother to worry anymore, he just wanted to teach him a lesson. He found a clothing store on the street and as soon as he entered he met a woman wearing a cylindrical hat and a mask. This woman shows only a pair of eyes, which is very beautiful. It's you. Men Changshen? Guiyar asked in surprise. Fen Lin smiled and nodded. Is it okay for someone like you to go out alone? Hey. I'm relaxing and I'm really angry with you today, Guiyar said unceremoniously, but with a smile. Giving people it feels like a joke. I didn't provoke you. Fen Lin shrugged helplessly. In the distance, a bald man wearing a gold necklace stared at Fen Lin and said to the younger brother behind him, prepare to act. Brother Yang, the woman next to that man is picturesque. The thin man walked over excitedly. Have you played with Guya too much? Do you think everyone is Guya? Brother Yang patted the thin man on the head. Only after playing with airplanes a lot can I recognize them. These eyes are definitely right. I'm sure. The thin man said in a deep voice. Brother Yang, after your reminder, I think it's a bit similar, another fat man also said. Damn, I didn't expect to meet a star. Brother Yang couldn't help but smacked his lips and asked in a low voice, do you think it's worth it for us to break that kid's legs and knock him out? His teeth for these tens of thousands of dollars. Not worth it. Brother Yang, maybe some of us will go to jail, said the thin man from before. Then we will kidnap this big star, blackmail his fortune, and live in retirement from now on, okay? Brother Yang grabbed his gold necklace, with fierce eyes, let's play big. Okay. Everyone around him nodded. Anyway, all the celebrities today have money and don't want much, only a few million. For a big star like Guya, let alone for a concert, he would come to participate in some variety shows. As long as they have something on hand, they probably won't call the police. Thinking of this, several people started to say, prepare. With the help of Guya, Fen Lin successfully bought 3 sets of sports clothes. Guya helped Fen Lin reduce 1/3 of the price. Fen Lin picked up the clothes and couldn't help but laugh. Can you still negotiate? Don't you think it's great to negotiate? Guya greeted Fen Lin, okay, I'll eat first. Alright. Just as Fen Lin raised his hand, a Wuling Huangwing stopped in front of the 2 of them. The 2 people wearing masks quickly got out of the car, grabbed Guya and Fen Lin respectively, and got into the car together. As soon as they came up, 2 daggers were placed on their necks. Fen Lin was a little strange. He thought they were here for him before, but was he wrong? Don't even move. If you dare to move, you will die. Brother Yan looked back from the passenger seat, but at this time he was wearing a hood. What are you going to do? Do you know who I am? Let me go. Guya struggled. Brother Yang smiled slightly. I don't know who you are, why do we arrest you? The county town was not very big to begin with, and in just a few minutes, a few people passed through the small road and headed to the rural wasteland outside the town. There was no one around. Several people pulled Fen Lin and Guya out of the car, each with machetes, and surrounded them. What do you want to do? I'm Guya. How about I take a photo with you? Guya took off her mask. Who the hell wants you to take a photo? Give us 5 million and we will let you go. This money is not much for you, so don't delay. Brother Yang said indifferently. Guya gently touched Fen Lin's shoulder and whispered, aren't you an ancient warrior? What is an ancient warrior? Fen Lin asked innocently. It is not like this. Guya gradually panicked. Could it be that he had thought wrong? Chapter 284 Do you still dare not like me? What is it? I don't know what you mean. Fen Lin was also a little surprised. It turned out that Guya was very close to him. I think he is an ancient warrior. Fen Lin couldn't help but feel that the chance meeting between the 2 might have been intentional on his part. Shut up. Guya, 5 million, I'll let you go after I give you the money. Brother Yan waved the machete lightly, pointed at Guya and shouted, "Guya, you are my goddess. As long as I give you money, I will never let the boss hurt you." The thing man said with a smile, 5 million is not much for you anyway. What if I don't give it? Guya's face was solemn. He looked around. This was a desert and there was no way to call for help. If you don't give it, we will have to make fun of you. Brother Yang smiled and frowned. We are already very restrained if we can remain calm in front of you. Okay, it's only 5 million, I'll transfer it to you now. Guya said. We don't want to transfer money. Although I haven't been to school, I know that transfers can be cancelled by calling the police. Brother Yang is not a fool. Last time, one of his younger brothers extorted 3,000 yuan from someone. The man subsequently called the police and not only was the 3,000 yuan recovered, but his younger brother was also arrested based on the information. Brother Yan pointed at Guya and said, I just want cash. Okay, I'll call my assistant now. Guya took out a mobile phone. Zeng. Brother Yan suddenly stretched out his hand and the machete fell on Guya's neck. Stop. What do you mean? I wired you money and you didn't want it. You said you wanted cash, and now me. I'm calling and you tell me to stop. Guya's voice gradually faded. Indifferent. Haha, little one, you're pretty mean, aren't you? I'm afraid you'll call the police. Before we give you money, we must control you. Brother Yan took back his machete. As long as you are in control, you won't dare to call the police after you return. What's the excuse? Guya's face gradually became panicked. Of course there's a man playing with you. As long as we have this kind of video and you dare to call the police, we will post it online. Brother Yang smiled and smiled. Guya's face turned pale, her body swayed and she almost fell. Boss. Here I come, let me be the villain. Brother Yang. I'm fast. It can also save us time, we can do it in 5 seconds. Brother Yang, you also know that Guya is the goddess of my dreams, fulfill my wish, go. Get out of here. I'll do it myself. Brother Yan rubbed his hands and looked at Guya with a smile. Well, let me tell you something. Fen Lin saw this picture and raised his hand at his side. Brat. You have no right to speak. Someone, break his legs. Brother Yan pointed at Fen Lin and shouted. Before I break your legs, listen to me first. Fen Lin paused and said calmly, this video of yours is not a clue. Brother Yang, who was about to take action, stopped and looked at Feng. Lin. Lin asked. How do you say this? You are a hood and record that video. Everyone knows you are a gangster. You are forcing Guya. Fen Lin looked at Brother Yang. If you release the video in the future, it will also be the date of your death, and now the police station can know who you are from your DNA. Hearing this, Brother Yang immediately took a step, stood back and nodded secretly. What he said made sense. What do you think we should do? As long as you can find a safe solution, I will let you go. Brother Yang looked at Fen Lin. It's very simple. They take off their hood or mask, reveal themselves, and then ask Guya to cooperate, so that outsiders look like a couple. Fen Lin paused and continued, it will be useless for her to call. Men Chang Shen. You bastard. I misjudged you. Guya kicked Fen Lin in the leg and cursed. With red eyes, I won't cooperate with you. As long as you dare to touch me, even if it's just a fingerprint, I will call the police. Brother Yan looked solemn and Fen Lin's words reminded him of this. With today's technology, fingerprints are present every time you touch it, let alone play with it. In the future, if someone calls the police, they may take the 5 million before spending the money. Brother Yan looked at the younger brothers around him and said, which of you came just now? I have given you a chance. The few people who were originally fighting closed their mouths. They're not stupid, just stars. If you can play every day, forget it. The key is that you can only play it once, and if you get caught later, you will be extorted a whopping sum of 5 million, as well as forced to force yourself on a woman, which can be the death penalty. Wouldn't it be nice to give 1 million to each person? What's more, after getting the money, they go to small places with low prices. Find cheap girls and you won't be the same every day. Is my method good? I'll leave first. Fen Lin got into the car and was about to pick up his clothes. The people around him were suddenly shocked, and the corners of their mouths raised slightly. Isn't he just someone? Even if Guya calls the police in the future, this guy will be arrested. It has nothing to do with him. Brush. Brother Yan pointed his machete at Fen Lin's face. Boy, hold her and play with her. If you don't play with her, I will destroy you. Fen Lin's head was covered with black lines. In fact, I was waiting for these people to act. Then kill them. They haven't taken action yet and Fen Lin is too embarrassed to act first. Guya's pupil shrank suddenly, her face full of shame and anger. Brother Yan pointed at Guya again and said fiercely, "There are two ways to choose. First, take the initiative to play with this child, be more intimate with your expression, we will record a video and you can go. I'll give you 500 later. Only 10,000 will be enough. Secondly, we will take turns playing and kill them all in the end. No one in this desert knows who did it." Guya gritted his teeth and tears flowed out unknowingly. However, compared to these ugly monsters, this Men Cheng Sheng can be considered a handsome boy. But he is a scumbag. At this time, Fen Lin's cell phone rang. He took it out and took a look. It was found to be Jinggu Jiok's number. "I cleaned it. I forgot the time." Before Fen Lin could finish speaking, Guya stood on tiptoe and blocked Fen Lin's mouth. "Take pictures and take pictures." Brother Yan saw this and asked everyone to take out their mobile phones. Fen Lin pushed Guya and rubbed his mouth with his hand. When Guya saw this, his eyes almost popped out. "What the hell do you mean? Do you still dare to despise the goddess in the hearts of countless men? I will fight hard for you today." Fen Lin with both hands pouted madly and wanted to kiss him. This feeling is like an extremely ugly woman who is suddenly favored by a handsome boy and immediately takes the initiative to fight her. Fen Lin held Guya's cheeks with both hands and fixed her head. Brush. Fen Lin's body flashed and each of them kicked them out. Guya stood there, looking at this scene in shock. "You and you're the ancient warrior." "No, I'm just a soldier. Get in the car and go back." Fen Lin originally planned to kill him. People, but now it seems that it is better to forget it. Guya suddenly squatted on the ground, hugged her knees, and cried bitterly. Fen Lin frowned, hesitated for a moment, then turned around and stood in front of Guya. "Stop crying, I'll let you kiss you a few times, okay? Fuck off." Guya stood up again, without stopping, kicking Fen Lin. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Wondoed Fanfic Novellas, we cordially invite you to visit our channel. There you will find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in the world of incredible novels. Chapter 285 I am the head of the family. Fen Lin could dodge it all the time, but Guya couldn't kick Fen Lin and squatted on the ground crying angrily. "Okay, let me kick you." Fen Lin approached Guya. Guya sobbed, stood up again and said expressionlessly, "Take me back." Fen Lin nodded. On the way, Guya looked at Fen Lin coldly. "You're obviously so powerful, why didn't you do it before? Just now, all his attention was on you. What happens if you die?" Fen Lin just said a random reason. He simply felt that those gangsters deserved to die and that he would kill them when they acted. I didn't expect this to happen. Only then did Guya realize that her attention had been on him before. It was only when Fen Lin was trying to think of a solution for them that attention was drawn to him. Thinking of this, Guya wiped away her tears and whispered, "I'm sorry, I misunderstood you. It doesn't matter." In just a few minutes, Fen Lin brought Guya to the county headquarters. He parked the car here casually, picked up the 3 sets of clothes he bought and left. "Men Cheng Sheng, thank you." Guya put on the hat and mask and said to the bottom of Fen Lin. Fen Lin did not look back, he simply raised his hand and waved it. Back at their small hotel, Fen Lin threw 3 sets of clothes at them. "Boss, where have you been? Are you back after so long?" Jinggu Jiok asked. "Something happened." Fen Lin smiled and sat on the chair, called Lanny and asked him to send a helicopter to pick him up. There are too many things here in Fen Lin, especially so many swords and daggers. Very uncomfortable to wear. After a few people changed their clothes, they waited here. At night, they carried all kinds of things, large and small, to the wasteland. Fen Lin sent the location coordinates to the driver. About half an hour later, a helicopter appeared from the sky. Several people went up together and returned to Yun City. When the helicopter arrived at Yun City, it was already 10 o'clock at night. Fen Lin asked the driver to drive to the villa. The villa's huge patio is big enough to park a helicopter. After landing, Fen Lin and others picked up all the things and let the helicopter leave. The lights in the village have been dimmed and several of Jinggu Jiok's men are hiding in the darkness. When they discovered that Jinggu Jiok had returned, they immediately went to greet her. "Okay, let's all rest well." Before leaving, Fen Lin patted Jinggu Jiok on the shoulder. "You're injured, so stop running and sleep well." "Yeah." Jinggu Jiok nodded. Fen Lin also breathed a sigh of relief. In this case, he could get into Zhu Ruan's bed. Fen Lin turned around and left, jumping to Zhu Ruan's villa. The door was locked, so he jumped to the 2nd floor and shook the window to open the lock like Jinggu Jiok always did. After that, Fen Lin jumped up. Without saying a word, she took off her shoes and blouse and got into bed. "Honey, I'm back." This mission is very dangerous. Fen Lin was suddenly surprised. This model was wrong. Why has it been reduced? Zhu Wang immediately turned on the light and lifted the quilt. Fen Lin's hand hugged Zhao King from behind. Zhao King's face turned red, and she immediately covered herself with the quilt and walked in. Zhu Wang's face was also red, and she kicked Fen Lin angrily. Get out. King, why are you here? Fen Lin grabbed Zhu Wang's feet and did not leave. Mr. Zhu, no, my sister said that we are sisters now and asked me to move in together, Zhao King said from under the quilt. Well, it's okay to move here. Anyway, we are all alone, so I'm not polite. Fen Lin put on his shoes again and went to the bathroom to take a shower first. When he came out, he found that Zhao King had dressed and was about to leave the room. Where are you going? Fen Lin asked. I'm going to sleep in another room. Zhao King lowered her head shyly. Very good, Fen Lin nodded. Be good, uncle. King, come back and don't leave. Zhu Wang's eyes trembled slightly. After hearing Fen Lin's words, he would definitely bully him again that night. If King were here, Fen Lin might be a little restrained. If he leaves, who knows what he will do. Sister, am I bothering you here? You are here okay? Come back. Zhu Wang hurriedly greeted Zhao King. Zhao King nodded and returned. When Fen Lin saw this scene, he didn't say much, but walked over very indifferently. Lying next to Zhu Wang, he turned off the light and said calmly, I'm very tired today. Let's rest. Fen Lin, have you forgotten who I am? Zhu Wang turned around, faced Fen Lin, looked at him and said, I am an ancient warrior. I haven't forgotten, Fen Lin said with a smile. Then get out of here. Zhu Wang grabbed Fen Lin's arm, otherwise, don't blame me for not giving you face in front of King. Oh, I feel a little uncomfortable. I almost died during this mission. I survived thanks to my wife's will. Fen Lin sighed deeply, got up and left. I didn't want to go back, but my wife treated me like this. Fen Lin, are you injured? Zhao King hurriedly got up, asked with concern. King is still kind to me, unlike someone who spoke sweetly when she was chasing me, but now that she caught me, she treats me coldly. Fen Lin opened the door compassionately and left here. Sister, Fen Lin returned from carrying out a mission for the country. As his wife, I must comfort him. In fact, you're too much. Zhao King grabbed Zhu Wang's hand and whispered. Zhu Wang remained silent. Did it really hurt Fen Lin's heart? He sighed helplessly and said to Zhao King, call him here. All right. Zhao King immediately put on her shoes and went to Fen Lin's room. He knocked softly on the door and found that Fen Lin did not answer. Then he said, Fen Lin, I'm coming in. After opening the door, he found Fen Lin holding the little fox and scratching its belly. King, why are you here? Go back to sleep. Fen Lin raised his head and said. Fen Lin, you also know what my sister is like. She is just shy. My sister asked me to call you. Zhao King approached Fen Lin with a smile. Come on, follow me. Fen Lin was about to do it. He speaks when he noticed that Zhu Wang also got up and was leaning on the door to eavesdrop. He smiled and said lightly, King, you'd better be nice to me. Don't say that, I should be nice to you. Zhao King lowered her head, her face a little rosy. King, I still have a few fiancés that I haven't met yet. After meeting them all, can I let you be the eldest wife? Fen Lin asked with a smile. When Zhu Wang outside the door heard this, she was about to open the door and walk in, but she still held back. He wanted to hear Zhao King's thoughts. No, I am not qualified and you know my character. Zhao King shook her head vigorously. When I choose a wife, I care more about the inside. I like kind people, Fen Lin said softly. Zhao King shook her head. Sister will not agree. Who the hell is she? I'm the head of the family. You don't know how much I helped her, and she, relying on my preference for her, kicked his nose on his face, Fen Lin said fiercely. Chapter 286 Immortals Who Flew. Zhu Wang outside the door puffed her lips slightly. This Fen Lin must teach him a lesson. How dare you talk bad about yourself behind your back? As Zhao King said, she simply felt shy and felt that the two are not really married yet. She is a modern woman with a strong personality. Accepting that Fen Lin as other women is already the biggest concession. When he talks about divorce, he simply does so with anger. He just wanted Fen Lin to admit defeat and convince himself. Boom. Zhu Wang opened the door and walked in. Sister Zhao King looked at Zhu Wang and breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, she did not agree at the time. King, go back and rest, I'll chat with Fen Lin. Zhu Wang patted Zhao King on the shoulder. Okay. Zhao King hurriedly left and closed the door. Zhu Wang, what's wrong? Fen Lin gently rubbed the little fox's belly. What did you call me? Zhou Wang asked coldly. Zhuoying. What? Did I call you wrong? Fen Lin asked calmly. Boom. Zhou Wang suddenly jumped up, punched Fen Lin, strangled her neck, and held her head in her arms. Fen Lin couldn't breathe for a moment. This time I really couldn't breathe. His vision darkened and his entire face was completely obscured. When the little fox next to him saw this, he jumped up in fright and hid on a sofa next to him. What did you call me? Zhou Wang asked coldly. Wife. What? Fen Lin hesitated, waving his hands. You still want to divorce me, right? Zhou Wang asked. Don't go. I was wrong. Fen Lin said quickly. HNPH. That's more. Zhou Wang let go of Fen Lin and said coldly, I'm telling you, as long as you obey from now on, you will be rewarded. If you don't obey, that's what happened just now. Fen Lin breathed greedily, staring at the ceiling. From now on, I need to be disobedient several times a day. Go to sleep. You can only sleep with me in your arms. If you dare to mess around, I will bite you to death. Zhou Wang covered herself with the quilt next to her and lay down here. Fen Lin also nodded. It was getting late and it was time to get a good rest. Early the next morning, Fen Lin opened his eyes and what was in front of him was a little fox. Zhou Wang left. Fen Lin also got up. There were still many things to do today. Zhao King and Zhu Ruoying have already prepared breakfast. Fen Lin, come and eat. Zhao King smiled and greeted Fen Lin. Fen Lin smiled, stretched and sat down at the table. After breakfast, Zhu Ruoying and Zhao King went to the company first. Fen Lin arrived at the opposite door. Men Changshen, Jinggu Jiqiu, and Yan Yuebai were looking at their trophies in the courtyard. Wow, this weapon is good. It's some kind of stone, not an iron weapon. Men Changshen saw Fen Lin approaching and picked up a dagger with a smile. This kind of stone is called gold whetstone, which is rare. I don't know. I've never heard of it. Fen Lin walked over with a smile. He was indeed an eligible second master. This kind of weapon is something from the Qiongkun sect. After the Qiongkun sect was destroyed, the weapon spread throughout the secular world, Men Changshen explained in a low voice. Fen Lin thought of the Gu family. The exercises they planned for Gu Duodu and Tang Qiongqian to learn were taught by Qiongkun. It seems that this sect is really powerful. Second master, look at this. Fen Lin took out a piece of metal from his body and threw it at Men Changshen. He himself took out the ceramic bottle from his body and began to investigate what kind of elixir it was. This is Men Changshen's face was shocked and he exclaimed, tactical decision. Is this a tactical decision? This is a priceless treasure. Yan Yuebai, who was checking the medicine, suddenly stood up in shock. What the hell? Jinggu Jiaqu looked curious. Fen Lin had not heard of it and was waiting for the second master's explanation. Since Kia too heard it, let me tell you, Men Changshen said with a smile. Autumn. I heard from my father that tactical judgment is a legendary secret passed down from Zhu Fu's lineage. Yan Yuebai paused for a moment. Instead of talking about martial arts, it is more appropriate to talk about combat skills. Jinggu Jiqiu whispered softly. Yes, you are thinking of Zhu Fu, the famous alchemist. There are many legends about him. He is the immortal or the ancestor of the island country, Yan Yuebai said with a smile. Zhu Fu's legend may be false, but the tactical judgment is true. I was lucky enough to see it. It's too difficult to learn. Everyone can try it. Men Changshen handed the metal piece to Jinggu Jiqiu. Yan Yuebai hugged Jinggu Jiqiu and the two looked at the information together. Second master, don't you want to learn? Fen Lin asked with a smile. I studied for a while, but it was too difficult, so I gave up. Men Changshen shook his head. Fen Lin went to the kitchen in the living room and took a glass of water in a bowl. He took out one of the elixirs, which turned black and was about the size of a soybean. There seemed to be about a dozen. Since this kind of elixir is combined with such a valuable tactical decision, it must also be a treasure. He used his fingernail to pinch some, put it in water and stirred it vigorously. The clear water has a little black color. Fen Lin gently took a sip, felt it carefully, and swallowed it in one gulp. It can actually replenish the energy in the body. Fen Lin was surprised. This was a life-saving thing. Qi is the basis of battle, equivalent to the battery of a mobile phone. It must be recharged after use, that is, rest and recovery. But this elixir is like a backup battery or a power bank. Especially when facing someone with similar strength to him, as long as he has this kind of elixir, he will almost certainly win. Fen Lin put away the elixir. Generally speaking, everything was fine this time. When they arrived at the courtyard, Yan Yuebai and Jinggu Jiqiu were practicing this technique. In the end, both of them shook their heads, unable to practice. It's so strange that it actually causes the qi in the meridians to flow backwards. Zhenguji shook his arm. Almost no one can do it, right? Men Chengsheng smiled and shook his head. It is normal. Many world-famous geniuses can't practice. People who can practice this kind of thing are only found once every 100 years. At this time, Zhou Wang walked over, put his hands in his trouser pockets, and greeted Fen Lin from a distance. Come with me to Jiangnan City tomorrow. What for? Fen Lin asked. He had just returned from there. The key can also be in the same month. If she knew Zhou Ruan's identity, she might go crazy. Do you still remember the Jiangnan and Jiangbai business district? I was also invited by the Jiangnan Ministry of Commerce. Zhou Ruan walked up to Yanyabai and looked at the piece of metal in his hand. What is this? It's a skill, try it. Yanyabai handed it to Zhou Ruan with a smile. Kung Fu. Zhou Ruan carefully followed the previous description, activated her key, and then stepped back gently. Humming. The air around her seemed shrink and Zhou Ruan's body suddenly retreated 2 meters away. What kind of trash technique? It will run out of power after one use. If I use it once, won't I wait to die? Zhou Ruan pursed her lips and returned the metal piece to Yanyabai. When other people around saw this, they were all shocked beyond words. Men Chengsheng almost jumped up. His wheelchair, shit. This young man, shit, I met a person I know once in 100 years. Chapter 287 Dramatic. Zhou Ruan looked round with a cute expression on her face and found that everyone was looking at her with strange expressions. What's wrong? Zhou Ruan asked strangely. Most people can't practice this technique, but you can. Fen Lin smiled and put his arm on Zhou Ruan's shoulders. To put it plainly, you're a genius. Hey. Do you know? Zhou Ruan raised her pretty face, thinking in her heart. Extremely nice. This strengthens his belief that his strength can overcome the so-called hidden families. As long as they can grow to that point, Wang Linger and Jinguji Opka their trash. Zhao Ying, practice this technique hard and ask me if there's anything you don't understand. Men Chengsheng turned his wheelchair with a serious expression on his face. I never thought I would meet a person like this in my life. Okay, second master. Zhou Ruan nodded. She still knew that second master was the strongest person here. He must be a good teacher. Fen Lin took the metal piece and carefully felt how it worked. He frowned slightly. In fact, it was very strange. Don't look at this anymore. Don't come to Hendon to learn how to walk and forget everything. Men Chengsheng looked at Fen Lin and said that the exercises he asked Fen Lin to learn were obtained by Fen Chen after all the hard work. It's even more advanced than this. There is no need to throw away the watermelon and collect the sesame seeds. Honey, work hard in the future. I have many enemies, so I'm counting on you to protect me. Fen Lin handed the metal piece to Zhou Ruan. Okay, I'll protect you. Jinguji Qihui walked over and took Fen Lin's arm. Take off your claws, I'm the one calling Fen Lin, Zhou Ruan scolded angrily. Why are you talking to your teacher? Jinguji Qihui looked at Zhou Ruan. Not only did he not let go, but he also pressed the side of his face against Fen Lin's arm. Zhou Ruan was so angry that she could only feel angry. Just wait for me. Zhou Ruan started the day's training. Fen Lin was bored and returned to the villa to rest. I found a little fox stepping on the top of the refrigerator and opening it with his paw. After holding a sausage in his mouth, he closed the refrigerator with his paw. Fen Lin felt that this little fox had really turned into a spirit, which was too human. Titan, since you can understand human speech, can I teach you how to read and write? Fen Lin walked over with a smile. Oh. Hearing Fen Lin call him like that again, the little fox howled fiercely at Fen Lin. Fen Lin smiled and lay down on the sofa to rest for a while. Noon. Zhou Ruan went back to cooking. Taking advantage of this time, Fen Lin went to the diagonal gate again to sort out the natural materials and treasures here. This amount of food is enough to feed these people for a while. Fen Lin took the relatively soft one and prepared it for Zhou Ruan to use. As for the medicine with stronger properties, leave it to your own Dead Knight members. Returning to Zhou Ruan's villa, Fen Lin placed these treasures in the kitchen cabinet. These are the best medicines. Take some every day. Fen Lin looked at Zhou Ruan, who was busy next to him. Okay. Zhou Ruan nodded slightly. After lunch, Zhou Ruan returned to her room to rest for a while, and then drove to the company to take a look. Like a class teacher who has no class, he comes back after a run and continues training. The day passed like this. Darkness. Zhao Qingqing took the bus and returned to the villa. Fen Lin Zhao Qingqing saw Fen Lin lying on the sofa and came to greet him with a smile. Back from work? Fen Lin asked with a smile. Well, do you have a change of clothes? I'm going to wash the clothes and then prepare dinner. Zhao King walked over and said. What? Do you still need to wash your clothes? Fen Lin teased. You never change your clothes, right? And your pants, right? Zhao King looked a little shy. It's over. You don't seem to like me. Fen Lin was speaking when Zhu Ruang staggered in, dragging our exhausted body. I don't dislike you, Zhao King said seriously, but it's not good for you to be like this. Zhu Ruang suddenly raised her face. King, what are you talking about? Speaking of washing clothes, I want to change my underwear, please let me wear yours. Fen Lin looked at Zhu Ruang and said. Use your grandmother. Zhu Ruang's face suddenly turned red, and she said coldly, go to your room and buy it yourself. I have already bought you a change of clothes. Fen Lin was a little surprised. I didn't expect Zhu Ruang must be so careful. He came to his room and found all the clothes in the closet. Most of them are suits. He put it on and found that it fit him well. After changing his clothes, he threw the clothes to Zhao King. Zhao King hummed a small tune and took the clothes to Washington. Fen Lin looked at the other party's back and sighed lightly. He suddenly felt that a man like him was not worthy of Zhao King. It seems that from now on we should be kinder to others. Early the next morning, after Fen Lin opened his eyes, he looked at Jinguji Akada in his arms and took a light breath. Good morning, boss. Jinguji Akada glanced at Fen Lin and smiled at him. Well, good morning, Fen Lin nodded. Jinguji Akada got up, opened the door, and saw Zhu Ruang standing outside the door. Zhu Ruang gritted her teeth tightly, but didn't say much. Get up, I'm going to Gu City today, Zhu Ruang shouted at Fen Lin. Fen Lin nodded. He had to go this time. Its purpose was simply to protect Zhu Ruang. This crazy woman in Tongju was too scary. If she knew Zhu Ruang's identity, she would definitely be killed. After breakfast, Zhao King went to the company. Zhu Ruang drove to Gushi with Fen Lin. In economic terms, Jiaodan is better than Jiabai. The level of the banquet prepared by the Jiaodan Department of Commerce this time was also better than the last time. Besides Wen Renxi, Guiyar was also invited. As long as the two of them attend an event together, they will definitely make headlines. This is also that careful thinking of the Jiaodan Department of Commerce. It is equivalent to a free advertisement in the Huajiao Commercial District. The party was held on the top floor of a 5-star hotel in Gushi, in the Imperial Hall. The scale this time is much larger than the last time. There are also many young people. The last time when Renxi attended an event, he did not inform everyone in advance. This time it is different. Many rich second generations received the news early. Hotel behind the scenes. When Renxi and Guiyao were sitting at the dressing table. Aside from the two of them, only their makeup artist remained, helping them fix their clothes and hats. It's very quiet here. The two makeup artists did not dare to breathe. When Renxi, how are you lately? Guiyao looked at herself in the mirror and asked calmly. Not bad, when Renxi nodded. As expected from a member of a big family, the news about your rumored boyfriend last time was suppressed in an instant, and now I can't even find it. As Guiyao's opponent, he usually pays close attention to Wen Renxi's news. Wen Renxi said calmly, let me congratulate you first. Congratulations. Guiyao looked at Wen Renxi and waited for the next step. That boyfriend is real. After I marry him, I plan to retire and stop fighting with you, Wen Renxi said calmly. What a coincidence, I also have someone I like, Guiyao said expressionlessly. Wen Renxi suddenly covered her mouth and laughed. You said, if the person we like is the same, wouldn't it be dramatic? In fact, the person I like is called Men Chang Shen, Guiyao said. What a pity. It seems that they are not the same person. My companion's name is Fen Lin, Wen Renxi said calmly. Chapter 288. Have you finished your homework? Fen Lin was sitting in Zhu Ruang's passenger seat, took out a brown wig from the bag next to him and put it on his head. He pulled out a fake beard and put it around his mouth. This was specially brought from the 4th child before he came here. There are many experts in Gu City this time, especially people from Jialand. They don't know the situation yet, but they have already taken away 25 disha. By the way, the house of the 9th sect was robbed, but these people are still kept in the dark. However, Fen Lin's appearance is already spread in the land of Jiao. You still need to dress up appropriately. Honey, when there are more people, will I call you that too? Fen Lin finished arranging the makeup mirror, put on a hat, and looked completely different. Unless you are someone who encounters Fen Lin frequently, you can tell from some behaviors. As for the 9 Netherlands, most of those people know it from photographs. I cannot say anything. Call me Mr. Zhu, Zhu Ruang said calmly. Why? Do you still want to stay single and prepare to be a sugar daddy in front of those businessmen? Fen Lin looked sad and angry. If I hadn't been driving, I would have hit you. Zhu Wang looked at Fen Lin. You seem too vulgar and I don't want people to doubt my aesthetic sense. You obviously look so handsome. Fen Lin looked at herself in the mirror and said very narcissistically. Zhu Wang rolled her eyes, gradually slowed down, and parked the car in the underground garage of the hotel. Zhu Wang got out of the car and straightened her instruments against its quite beautiful. Fen Lin also got out of the car and said next to her. Zhu Wang was wearing a knee-length office dress. She was dressed conservatively, but her figure was too exaggerated. What kind of clothes? You can always wear it with a crisp feeling. The proud man in front of him still has Liu Yao, or under Liu Yao he feels like a beauty. Such beautiful flowers are planted in Kadang. Looked at Fen Lin and walked forward. Fen Lin followed Zhu Wang with a smile. You said otherwise. You can't interfere, you, shameless. Fen Lin's waist. He didn't let go until he came out. In front of the hotel. There are many merchants here and it is overcrowded. Zhu Wang just appeared and immediately attracted the attention of everyone around her. Shit. Who is she? How beautiful. This figure is amazing. I think the two celebrities are not as beautiful as her. The people around were talking about it, and they were all looking at Zhu Wang. Zhu Wang didn't like this look. He turned to Fen Lin and said, let's go it quickly. Fen Lin nodded and followed Zhu Wang. Come to the emperor's room on the top floor of the hotel. The area here is very large and there are already many people around. Mr. Zhu, you're here. Then this is Mr. Zhu, whose name I have admired for a long time. I am the president of Jiangnan Leather Factory. I am glad to meet you. Zhu Wang is also considered a celebrity in Jiangbai. Furthermore, the previous meeting in Jiangbai already introduced many Jiangnan businessmen. This time there were many people waving. Fen Lin closed his eyes and sensed his surroundings. Suddenly, his expression changed slightly. There were so many masters. Haha. It's very lively here. A familiar voice reached Fen Lin's ears. Same month. Fen Lin immediately lowered his head and pretended to look at his phone. He gently turned the wine bottle in front of him and saw Tong Yu's figure through the image reflected in it. She was wearing black sports clothes, followed by Cheng Kong. This girl is so bold, Fen Lin thought. Her appearance was already known by the country's secret army. Even so, he still dared to appear in public without any pretense. Tong Yu and Cheng Kong were sitting at the table far away. Fen Lin also breathed a sigh of relief. Under the current circumstances, it was best not to let Tong Yu know that he was here. Haha, we meet again. Mr. Zhu. A cold voice reached Fen Lin's ears. He immediately turned around and looked not far away. He saw a middle-aged man with short hair and a Chinese character face. This person's eyes were sinister and made people feel very uncomfortable. Zhang Yali. Fen Lin remembered that this man was Zhang Yuan's father. The last time he was in Jiangbai, he gave Zhu Wang a thumbs up. He even sent a teacher to kill him. Arriving at their territory this time, Fen Lin felt that the other party would not give up. What? Fen Lin didn't come. Zhang Yali looked around and asked with a smile. In an instant. Fen Lin frowned. He turned the wine bottle in front of him and found that Tong Yu had already walked towards Zhu Wang. He immediately stood up and walked towards Zhu Wang. No, Zhu Wang said calmly. Hello sister, what is your relationship with Fen Lin? Tong Yu walked up to Zhu Wang, raised her baby fat face, and asked with a smile. Who are you? Zhu Wang found this little girl so cute and asked with a smile. My name is Tong Yu, cousin, come here. Fen Lin lowered his voice, grabbed Zhu Wang's hand and pulled it back. Zhu Wang turned around and saw that it was Fen Lin, so she took the initiative to follow him. Looking at Fen Lin's back, Tong Yu's eyes gradually narrowed. Holy Cheng Kong walked over and whispered, this figure looks familiar, it's my brother Fen Lin. I thought he was gone. In the same month, Fen Lin had already found 25 disha. I returned. Now that he is still here, it shows that he has thought too much. Mr. Chen, come with me to take a look. Tong Yu walked towards Fen Lin with a smile. What are you doing? Zhu Wang asked in a low voice. That woman is a bad person, but she has a crush on me. Fen Lin whispered in Zhu Wang's ear. From now on, you are my sister, remember? Zhu Wang was a little confused, but looking at Fen Lin's nervous look, he should not be kidding, nodded slightly. Brother Fen Lin, Tong Yu smiled and approached Fen Lin. I thought you were back. How you? I hid so deeply that you saw it. Fen Lin asked, pretending to be surprised. Of course, I remember the smell of brother Fen Lin. Tong Yu smiled and sat next to Fen Lin. Zhu Wang, on the other hand, frowned slightly, her face a little sad. This bastard Fen Lin must be lying to himself again. Brother Feng Lin, who was this sister? Tong Ju pointed to Zhu Ruang next to her. This is my cousin, we grew up together, Feng Lin said with a smile. It turns out that this sister is my younger sister. Tong Yu showed a cute smile. What sister? I'm older than you, so you should call me sister. Zhu Ruang said lightly, without the smile she had before. This little girl looked like a love rival and suddenly felt unlovable. Although you're older, when I marry Brother Feng Lin, you will naturally become your sister. Tong Yu smiled and grimaced, holding Feng Lin's arm. Ha, cousin, don't listen to their nonsense. Feng Lin smiled at Zhu Ruang. Husband, I didn't expect you to be engaged to a girl like this. Zhu Ruang couldn't take it anymore. This woman must be Feng Lin's fiancée. He just deliberately lied to himself. What did you call it? Tong Ju's smile stopped abruptly. My name is husband, what's wrong? Did you finish your homework on your little tablet? Were you trying to steal a man from me? Zhu Ruang said in a strange tone. Chapter 289. It's annoying to see women. Tong Ju's lovely eyes were half-lidded, and the smile on her cute baby fat cheeks became more and more intense. When Feng Lin saw this, he immediately hugged Tong Yu. Chen Kong, who was behind Tong Yu, immediately made a move and put his hand on Zhu Ruang's shoulder. Xiao Yu, don't listen to her nonsense. My cousin is of this temper. Feng Lin comforted him with a smile and whispered in Tong Ju's ear. In the heart of every sister, her brother is sacred. Well, this sentence really doesn't. Has no sense. Wrong. Tong Yu nodded slightly. Zhu Ruang, didn't Feng Lin come with you? At this moment, Wang Linga ran from a distance and grabbed Zhu Ruang's arm. Brother Feng Lin is here, she said. Tong Yu with a slight smile, damn. Feng Lin cursed in her heart, it's over. Feng Lin Wang Linga turned around and looked at Feng Lin, and she recognized him, haha. That would give yours look so miserable. Who was Brother Feng Lin, sister? Tong Ju Tianchen smiled. Linger, come home with me in a few days. I will prescribe you a medicine that will be good for your health. Feng Lin was going to give Wang Linger some natural and earthly treasures, which had a significant effect on her body. Okay. Wang Linger smiled and nodded. Tong Yu nodded secretly. This woman, she looked very pale, and Feng Lin was a doctor. She should just be Feng Lin's patient. Feng Lin breathed a sigh of relief and deceived another. By the way, I am Feng Lin's fiancée, the first wife, Wang Ling explained to him. To Tong Yu. And then pointed at Zhu Ruang. She is a concubine. Damn. Feng Lin secretly thought that something was wrong. His brain began to spin rapidly and said with a smile. Linger, it seems that the disease in your brain has worsened. You are the only one who has the disease in your brain. Wang Linger wrinkled her nose, looking a little unhappy. Zhu Ruang originally wanted to refute, but then she thought about it. And decided to hold back for the time being. Due to affection, the Wang family currently has no business with his company. He also did not want to make things too rigid. Men Changsheng said that he was a genius and that sooner or later he would be able to surpass these lonely families. Thinking of this, Zhu Ruang walked away again to chat with those businessmen, out of sight but out of mind. Brother Feng Lin, so all these people are your wives. Tong Yu smiled and raised her chin, giving people a chilling feeling. Who are you? Wang Linger asked. Brother Feng Lin is the man I like, Tong Yu said calmly. Sister, you are still young and you will meet someone better in the future. What's more, if you marry Feng Lin, your concubine will be bullied all day long, Wang Linger explained seriously. Feng Lin rolled his eyes. It would be nice if a crazy woman like her didn't bully others. Xiao Yu, let's go out and talk. Feng Lin stood up from his seat and it was safer to have Tong Ju by his side. Let's talk here, I don't want to move. Tong Ju seemed to know Feng Lin's thoughts and sat here motionless. At this moment, Feng Lin and Chen Kong turned around at the same time. At the door, a girl with two tails entered. There were dark circles clearly visible on her cute little face. She came in dressed in a denim jumpsuit with her hands in her pockets. It's Lian Dai. Behind Lian Dai is not the middle-aged man from before. This time an old man followed her. The old man's body was hunched over and he was leaning on a dragon-headed staff. So strong. Feng Lin was surprised. This old man also had secret cultivation skills. But judging from his camera, he is definitely a master. Lian Dai and the old man behind him noticed Tong Ju at a glance. Then we walked here together. Chen Kong raised the corner of his mouth and said calmly, Lian Long, I didn't expect you to come. I heard that the saint will take you away, so naturally I can't let my little princess be bullied. Lian Long smiled, but the smile was fake. Lian Dai sat on the chair angrily, she had been bullied. Hatred of the bathroom was irreconcilable. Therefore, he specially called the fifth disciple here, and after catching Fen Lin, he would first make him a eunuch. Fen Lin was sitting here, drinking with his head down, and felt that things were becoming more and more troublesome. He stood up suddenly, grabbed Wang Linger's arm, and prepared to leave. "Brother Fen Lin, where are you going?" Tong Yu asked with a smile. "What?" "Fen Lin." Lian Dao's eyes with dark circles suddenly widened. Fen Lin said helplessly and said with a slight smile, "I'm going to the bathroom." "Fen Lin." Lian Lao grabbed the hand of the crutch, gradually exerting force, and his voice was low. Unexpectedly, the legendary Death Doctor was also here. But he is not afraid. After all, the Death Doctor is a member of the country and dare not fight here. It is densely populated and located on the upper floors of the hotel. If we fight here, I don't know how many people will suffer. Fen Lin Liandao's face was full of hatred. He opened his mouth and suddenly swallowed the words. If you attack Fen Lin here, Tong Ju will definitely stop him. He might as well be as angry as the moon. I'll go with you. Liandao jumped up from the chair very cutely. I'm going to the bathroom, Fen Lin said angrily. We are all like this, what's wrong with going to the bathroom together? Liandao grabbed Fen Lin's hand. How are you? Tong Yu and Wang Linger asked in unison. Keep it a secret. Liandao smiled and winked at Tong Yu. Shao Yu, don't listen to her nonsense. She and I have nothing to do, Fen Lin explained immediately. Fen Lin. What do you mean? Why should I just explain it to her? Who is she? Wang Linger put her hands on her hips and was so angry that she almost cried. Fen Lin's head is full of black lines. Please don't make trouble at this time, okay? At this moment, the originally noisy environment suddenly became quiet. Fen Lin immediately looked around and found that everyone was looking towards the door. He also breathed a sigh of relief. I thought everyone stopped to watch him make a fuss. Two women walked out the door, both wearing beautiful dresses. They are Wenrexi and Guya. Wenrexi had her hair down and was wearing a black dress, looking as elegant as a hibiscus in water. Guya is wearing a red dress, her long hair is tied up, like peonies competing for beauty, noble and elegant. As soon as the two people appeared, the waiting rich second generations immediately surrounded them. They felt uncomfortable waiting here. Everyone had noticed Zhu Ruoying before. But I don't dare to start a conversation for fear of telling the truth. Because the order given to them by the family was to chase Wenrexi and Guya. Both have very solid training and cannot be neglected. Miss Wenren, I have admired you for a long time. I listen to your music every day. Can we take a photo? Miss Du, since I heard your music, I discovered that all the music in the world has lost its soul. These young people were talking a lot and they were all surrounded by Wenrexi and Guya. The surrounding sounds became loud again. Fen Lin smiled and hugged Wang Linger's shoulders. Linger, don't think too much, I'll explain it to you later. No. Are you attracted to her? You need to explain it to me today. Wang Ling's eyes were somewhat red. She pointed at Tong Ju and shouted. Okay, I'll explain it to you. Let me collect my thoughts. Fen Lin's head was about to explode. Damn, it bothers me when I see women. Since Wenrexi and Guya became the center of attention, Zhu Ruoying also sided with Fen Lin. Suddenly, Wenrexi noticed Zhu Ruoying and saw Wang Linger in the distance. Finally, his eyes fell on Fen Lin, who was wearing a wig and a beard. Fen Lin. Wenrexi pushed the crowd aside and walked towards Fen Lin. Guya had heard Wang the 11th say before that Fen Lin was her boyfriend, and she couldn't help but look at him. She frowned. Why did this person seem so familiar? Chapter 290. Fighting with the Confucians. Guya stared at Fen Lin intently, becoming more and more familiar with him. Suddenly, she was stunned by those eyes, that mouth, that hide, that demeanor. Men Changshen. He felt his blood surge and his mind went blank. I ran into a situation where the odds were less than winning the lottery. That's wrong. Guya said to herself, it couldn't be a coincidence. Wenrexi should have gone there to find other men. Because Men Changshen was not looking at Wenrexi at this time, they probably did not know each other. But this idea was shattered the next moment. Wenrexi walked towards Fen Lin and patted him on the shoulder. Fen Lin here was still thinking about how to explain to Wang Linger when Wenrexi returned. Fen Lin, why are you wearing a wig? Wenrexi asked strangely. Tong Yu's face became increasingly cold. It seemed that Fen Lin didn't pay attention to her words at all. They clearly asked him to break off the engagement, but he was still confused about these women. But that's fine too. The corners of Tong Yu's mouth curled up slightly. At least she had Fen Lin in her hands. These hostages are definitely more useful than ordinary people. Haha, let's pretend a little. Fen Lin smiled slightly. Everyone around turned their attention to Fen Lin, wanting to see who it was. Wenrexi who took the initiative to say hello. You won't know it if you don't look at it, but it will scare you to see it. There are so many beautiful women here competing for beauty, covering almost all ages and all types of women. Finally, Guyard also walked over, looked at Fen Lin and said, Men Chang Shen, long time no see Men Chang Shen. Zhou Wang's expression was surprised. Isn't this the name of the second master? When Rexy looked at Guyard in surprise. Is he the Men Chang Shen you mentioned? That's how it is. Guyard nodded. He is Fen Lin, when Rexy explained. That. Guyard didn't know what expression to use in response. Fen Lin, are you so crazy? 1 star is not enough, why do you use the name of the second master to earn 2 stars? Zhou Wang grabbed Fen Lin's ear. You haven't explained it to me yet. Wang Ling also grabbed Fen Lin's other ear. Brother Fen Lin, it seems that you didn't listen to me. Tongju also pinched the soft flesh around Fen Lin's waist. When Lian Dai saw this, he felt happy. If he didn't get revenge now, when would he wait? He reached the other side of Fen Lin, pinched Fen Lin tightly and spun him around. Shit. Fen Lin groaned in pain, waved his hand vigorously, and pushed everyone around him away. He felt that he must fulfill his dignity as the head of the family. He looked around and finally noticed the singing room in the distance. This is the top-notch imperial hall with many entertainment facilities and everything you need. Fen Lin put his hands in his trouser pockets and entered the small private room of the KTV. Many women entered after him. Before Tong Yu walked in, he looked at Chen Kong. Mr. Chen, stay at the door and don't let anyone come close. Holy, don't worry, he doesn't dare to do with anything for me. Look around, everyone here, people are all hostages. Tong Yu pointed to the people gathered in the distance. Chen Kong nodded. Fen Lin really didn't dare to waste time in a place like this. As long as he kills Tong Yu, Chen Kong will kill everyone present. Lian Dai also said to Lian Long next to him. Master Long, you will also stay outside. Okay, miss. Lian Long nodded with a smile. The private room was closed and all the girls were sitting on a sofa, with only Fen Lin standing. Anyone who was dissatisfied with me can raise it. Fen Lin looked at the beauties surrounding him, preparing for a verbal battle with the scholars. Fen Lin, Men Chang Shen, stop. Fen Lin plucked his ears and stretched out his hand to stop everyone. There are too many people, so I'll ask them one by one. Guyard, you go first. Guyard is the only one here. If they meet by chance, let her leave first. Is your name Men Chang Shen or Fen Lin? Guyard asked. My name is Fen Lin. I usually do good deeds without leaving my name. When I rescued you, I used a pseudonym. Fen Lin put his hands in his trouser pockets and explained lightly. That's all. Guyard nodded, then pointed at Wen Renxi and asked, who was she to you? We were engaged before, but the relationship is more private now, so I won't tell you. Fen Lin replied. After finishing, he looked around, especially at Zhu Boying. It seemed to tell him that I was innocent. Well, that's all. Guyard nodded slightly. If you have nothing to do, you can leave. Fen Lin made an invitation. Guyard nodded. Compared to Wen Renxi's fiancée, she was just a chance meeting. She really isn't. It's okay to stay here all the time. Then he turned around and left. The only outsider left, and Fen Lin breathed a sigh of relief. He looked around and asked, who has any questions? Were these all your fiancés? Tong Yu stood up with a smile, holding Fen Lin's wrist. No. Fen Lin shook his head and looked at Wen Renxi first. Miss Wen Ren, last time I made it very clear that we are not suitable. Do you agree? I agree. Wen Ren the 11th nodded. Fen Lin breathed a sigh of relief again and looked at Tong Yu with a smile, meaning that he was indeed breaking off the engagement. There was no response here in the same month. Wen Renxi added, but my family doesn't agree. Then I will kill your entire family, Tong Yu said with a gentle smile. How can you talk like a brat? Wen Renxi said. Raised sadly. Presumptuous. What did you call me? Tong Yu shouted harshly. Don't fight, don't fight. Fen Lin immediately stood between the two and pushed them. Lian Dai couldn't help but laugh. He didn't know why, but he got excited when he saw Fen Lin in trouble. He decided to add more fire. You said clearly back then that you were only good to me and told everyone to leave. Lian Dai ran over and hugged Fen Lin's arm. Why do you talk to them so much? What? He always looked calm and collected. Zhu Wang is watching a show here. She is still very confident, and in her opinion, this is a group of concubines competing for favor. But Lian Dai's words made her uneasy. Fen Lin pointed at Lian Dai and said, Fen Lin. You are so cruel, wow. You have touched every corner of my body, but you treat me like this. Lian Dai rubbed her eyes and cried. Wang Ling frowned. Fen Lin was this kind of man. Don't listen to his nonsense. Do you dare to swear? Do you dare to take the oath to renounce your descendants? Wu Liandai covered his face, heartbroken. Fen Lin, won't you even let the child go? Zhu Wang rushed to strangle him. Enough. Fen Lin roared, making everyone around them all be silent. Grandma. Do you think I don't have a bad temper? Fen Lin grabbed Liandai's twin tails and threw over towards the sofa like a steering wheel. Fen Lin pressed Liandai's delicate body and whispered in her ear. If you continue speaking, I will post the video. By the way, Fen Lin also has a video of me and me playing. Come and see. Liandai was ready to be shameless. She was waiting for Fen Lin to say this thing. Because now this video is more beneficial to her. What video? Show me and let me see it. Zhu Wang held out her hand to Fen Lin. There is no video, just listen to their nonsense. Fen Lin smiled sarcastically. Chapter 291 Sewing Discord. Liandai couldn't help but laugh when he heard this. Fen Lin is so funny, no wonder Tong Yu likes him. He couldn't help but want to join this big family and cause trouble for Fen Lin every day. Fen Lin took a deep breath, let go of Liandai, and sat on the sofa next to him. He decided to tell everything. Otherwise, it would be too troublesome. He crossed his legs and said, Zhu Wang, come here. Why are you talking to me? Zhu Wang was angry and puffed her mouth slightly. I asked you to come here. Fen Lin said coldly. That. Zhu Wang finally sat down next to Fen Lin. Fen Lin put his arm around Zhu Wang's shoulders and looked around. Her name is Zhu Wang, my wife. Zhu Wang, who was still a little angry at first, suddenly laughed when she heard this. Wen Ranxi, Wang Linger, you two are my fiancés. As you can see, I have a wife and there are more than one. Fen Lin looked at the two of them. Do you want to marry me? Last time, didn't I say that? I am willing to be the first wife, said Wang Linger. What a beautiful idea. I don't have a real wife here, just a wife, Fen Lin shouted coldly. But I belong to a lonely family after all. Treating me like a concubine is against the rules. Seeing that Fen Lin was angry, Wang Linger lowered her head and muttered. Don't talk nonsense. Get married if you want or leave if you don't. Fen Lin crossed his legs. Fen Chen had taught Fen Lin since he was a child that a man must be a gentleman. Don't argue with women, only then will you be able to get one wife. He finally understood that a moment of tolerance would really make these people kick themselves in the face. Why are you so mean? Wang Linger's eyes turned red, she squatted on the ground and cried loudly. Hi, Wu. Why are you so mean with me? Why can't I marry you? Well, Wu, Fen Lin was speechless. This crying baby is like a hothouse flower, crying with every step. He greeted Wang Linger. Stop crying, come here and sit next to me. Yes, Wang Linger wiped away her tears and sat on the other side of Fen Lin aggrievedly. Wen Ranxi, what about you? Fen Lin asked. I want to discuss it with my family, Wen Ranxi said with a smile. Then leave without seeing him off. Fen Lin pointed to the door. Wen Ranxi nodded and left. Here, apart from Zhu Wang and Wang Linger, two of ours, there are only two people left from Jiao land. Shao Yu, as you can see, if you want to be my wife, you must live in peace with your sisters. Fen Lin looked at Tongju and said lightly. Lady, let me share my things with the ants. Tongju smiled slightly. Aren't you afraid that I will kill them? You dare to attack them, I will never forgive you. Fen Lin pointed at Zhu Wang and Wang Linger, showing my wife in front of you means I believe you. Stop wearing a hat so tall, no one can take my stuff away from me. Tong Yu let out a ghostly laugh. Hey, and brother Fen Lin, at worst I will kill you and make you a specimen. After saying that, he turned around and left. Before he left, he did. Don't forget to look coldly at Lian Yang, butterfly. My dear, I'm leaving too. Liandai greeted Fen Lin and left with a smile. Fen Lin and the other three are the only ones left here. Fen Lin held his forehead helplessly. He's finally gone. Who are they? Zhu Wang found that Tongju seemed to have a mental illness, especially from the way she smiled. Like a demon, it makes people feel palpitations. 9 Netherlands, Fen Lin said softly. What? That evil organization that can subvert the world. Wang Linger trembled and covered her mouth. Yes, they are bad people, they are attracted to my beauty. Speak well. Zhu Wang nudged Fen Lin with her elbow. Well, you're interested in my medical skills and abilities, and you want to take them for yourself. Fen Lin looked at the two of them with a solemn expression. You must be careful in the future. I understand. Zhu Wang nodded secretly. This matter is more important. Inspire her to keep going. When Fen Lin, Zhu Wang, and Wang Linger came out, soft music sounded here. When Rexy and Guiao were playing together in the distance. Fen Lin looked around and found that Tong Yu, Lian Dai and others had already left. He was about to have a drink to ease his mood when a message came from his mobile phone, which was sent that same month. Brother Fen Lin, quickly come to the vacant lot behind the hotel, or you will suffer the consequences. Seeing this news, Fen Lin was afraid that the other party was trying to drive the tiger away from the mountain, so he would have brought it. The fourth child here if I had known. He approached the window and found that the 4 people there were indeed standing on the vacant lot behind. He also felt a little relieved. So I left here. After taking the elevator to the lower floors, Fen Lin jumped from the back window and finally landed on the ground. What's the matter? Fen Lin walked over and asked. Buzz. Sudden. Fen Lin's pupils suddenly shrank. The body appeared in an instant. Right where he was, a middle-aged man with half-white hair appeared. This man has long hair, tied in a ponytail, wears a black suit, and has a feminine aura. As expected of a mortuary doctor, his speed is truly amazing. This man's voice was very thin, it sounded like that of a sissy. Fen Lin was about to ask him who he was, but found that Chen Kong and Lian Long on the other side handed him over. See Mr. Ninth Sect Master. Hearing this, Fen Lin suddenly became extremely nervous. He simply stole his hometown. It turns out that this is the 9th Sect leader of Jiaworth. I finally met a big shot. Fen Lin said with a slight smile. Sir, Sect Master, I didn't expect you to come in person. What about your visit this time? Tong Yu asked with a smile. Isn't this nonsense? By the way, of course you came to take my things. At this point, Fan Jin paused for a moment. Kill Fen Lin. Fen Lin thought about the people he killed, and many of them escaped in the end. It should be those people who made the whistleblower. 9th Sect Master, could you please stop killing Fen Lin? I like him very much. Tong Yu took 2 steps forward, smiled and took his hands. If it had happened before, I would naturally have given Xiao face, but Fen Lin destroyed my 9th Sect. This hatred is irreconcilable. You'll die today. Fan Jin's tone was cold and biting. Destroy your sect. Brother, where do you start talking about this? Fen Lin pretended to be surprised. He had a plan in mind and was ready to let them fight. The worthy doctor of death turned out to be a rat who dares to act like a rat. Fan Jin looked disdainful and said with sinister eyes, Yesterday I received news that my sect was destroyed by Death Knight and others. What? Yuan Tongju and others were surprised. Lian Dao thought to himself, maybe it was really Fen Lin who did it. Because I once told him the location. Dai. Brother, are you kidding me? Let's not mention that Death Knight has been disbanded. The key point is that I don't have the ability to clone myself. I have been in Gu City during this time. Fen Lin pointed to Tong Yu and Lian Dai, they can testify. Yes, 9th Sect Master, Fen Lin was in Gu City at least 4 or 5 days ago, Tong Yu explained. Is this true? Fan Jin was a little confused. I can also testify. Chen Kong said calmly. Ha ha ha. Fen Lin suddenly laughed, preparing to start a fight. Why are you laughing? Fan Jin frowned. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic Novellas, we cordially invite you to visit our channel. There you will find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 292 Fate is Wonderful. Fen Lin put his hands in his trouser pockets and asked calmly, I guess those Death Knight members are wearing masks, right? Yes, they're indeed wearing masks. Fan Jin asked clearly, and even remembered the numbers on the masks. Clearly. They are number 1, number 4, number 5 and number 7. All of you in Jialan know the appearance of our Dead Knight members. If I'm going to attack, why would I wear a mask? Fen Lin smiled and shrugged, obviously someone wants me to take the blame for Dead Knight. This Fan Jin's face became more and more ugly. His servants told him in great detail that the group of people specifically asked where it was and took all the treasures inside. Could it be that other sects in Nine Netherland found out that he was gone and came to take away the treasures he had kept? Those weapons and some natural and earthly treasures do not have much value. What worries him most is the tactical decision and the destined pills that save his life. He has never told anyone about these treasures. I kept hiding it because I was afraid that others would think about it. Unexpectedly, it was still stolen. Fen Lin came up with another conspiracy theory. If I said the betrayal of the 25 Disha was planned. How do you say that? Fan Jin asked. There is a pair of black hands planning to have 25 evil spirits betray you and steal your treasure. The purpose is to lure you out so that they can steal more valuable treasures, Fen Lin explained with a smile beside him. Fen Lin, you don't understand. The treasures stolen by the 25 evil spirits are the most precious, Lian Dai explained from a distance. Shawty, you don't understand. Although the silver fox is valuable, we in the entire Jia land don't know how to use it, Fan Jin said with a cold expression. My set is something more valuable. Fan Lin felt astonished. It seemed like the little fox he took away was a real treasure. Fan Jin lowered his head and thought, just as Fan Lin said. It is very possible that this matter is from other sects. From the starting point, they are not Fan Lin and others. Because the direction of the 9th sect is unknown to outsiders. Only the bigwigs under 9 Netherlands know this. Is it the 8th sect? Fan Jin's eyes were half-lidded. The 8th sect and the 9th sect had always been at odds. There is a high probability that your treasure will be stolen. Tactical judgment is a treasure in your collection. You can't even practice it, so forget it if it's stolen. But those life-saving elixirs really do save lives. Every time he goes out, he carries 2 with him. One fighting at the same level, the one who competes is key. Both parties were in a period of weakness. He took a pill and recovered instantly. How can the battle not be won? It's okay, I just don't want to take the blame, but no matter what, you're enemies. If you want to fight, let's fight together. Fan Lin put his hands in his trouser pockets and looked round indifferently. I don't have time to fight you. Fan Jin stood with his hands behind his hands, looking blankly at Tong Yu and Lian Dai. Go back and help me tell the 2 sect masters to help me find my enemy. Okay, 9th sect master. Tong Yu nodded with a smile. Let me make it clear to you that the silver fox is mine. Even if you really find it, I will go to your sect and ask you for it. After Fan Jin finished speaking, he walked away and disappeared in the blink of an eye. He believes that Fan Lin still can't move. If he fights against the 8th sect in the future, Fan Lin will be of help. Fan Lin shook his neck slightly and fought with Fan Jin. He could only hit 4 or 6 at most. This is the 9th sect leader and there are 8 more above him. Fan Lin stretched and rested for 2 years, which was almost enough. It's time to improve your cultivation. Xiao Yu, what is the silver fox you just mentioned? Fan Lin turned around and asked. It's a little fox. As for other information, I won't tell you. Tong Yu smiled and waved his hand. Brother Fan Lin, it seems like you should go back. I have an idea, said Fan Lin. Before leaving, ready to stir up trouble again, be careful, Liu Nian. I'm just reminding you of this. Liu Nian. Lian Dai whispered to himself. That's right, you can test her if you don't mind. Then you will know how deep she hides. To put it bluntly, you are all pawns of the Liu family. After Fan Lin finished speaking, he left with a smile. Fan Lin returned to the hotel and before leaving, he threw away his wig and beard. When I came, I was afraid that these people would see me. Now everyone in Jialan knows this. Fan Lin didn't bother hiding. When he reached the hotel elevator, he entered. Just as the elevator was about to close, a woman's voice came. Wait a minute. Fan Lin stretched out his hand to block the elevator door. Thank you. Wen Ning brought the takeaway and nodded towards Fan Lin. When he raised his head, his eyes suddenly whitened. Fan Lin. Haha, sometimes, fate is really wonderful. Fan Lin smiled. Close the elevator. HNPH. Are you going to check into a room with a woman again? Wen Ning asked displeased. What do you mean? How can you speak, girl? Fan Lin nodded Wen Ning's forehead. Yeah. Wen Ning chuckled and pressed the button on the 8th floor. What are you doing here? There is a business party on the top floor, Fan Lin said calmly. What? You were invited to attend. It was a meeting of big businessmen. Wen Ning looked at Fan Lin in disbelief. I came here with a friend, Fan Lin nodded. I heard the Guyoy and Wen Runxi are here. Can you get me an autograph? Wen Ning grabbed Fan Lin excitedly. We are here on the 8th floor. Fan Lin did not answer and pointed to the open elevator door. Fan Lin, please, I really like your music. Wen Ning took Fan Lin's hand and led him out of the elevator. I might as well take them together. I'm not familiar with them. Fan Lin smiled bitterly, revealing his honest and kind character again. Okay. Wait for me. Wen Ning ran to deliver the takeaway. After knocking on the door, he returned to Fan Lin without stopping. Fan Lin looked at Wen Ning's appearance and couldn't help but shake his head. Enter the elevator and go up to the top floor. In front of the door of the Imperial Hall, there is a group of security guards patrolling. In addition to the reporters, there were also some unrelated young people outside, just to glimpse the stars. Wen Ning. Are you here too? At this moment, a short-haired woman walked next to him. He has a fat body and round face. Next to him is a round-faced man and they look like a couple. Shali. Wen Ning greeted with a smile. Are you also coming to see celebrities? Shali said with a smile, my boyfriend knows the staff there, and I will definitely take a group photo soon. Wow. Really? Wen Ning covered her mouth in cooperation. As a person with high emotional intelligence, you often cooperate with others. You Zhao Li's classmate. Stand next to me and I will get you one soon. The round-faced man said with a smile, sighing in his heart, this woman is so beautiful. She's much prettier than my girlfriend, but I don't know if I can go out with her. Zhao Li looked at her boyfriend with an obviously unhappy expression. No, I'll go in and take a look first. Wen Ning shook his head slightly. Yadding. The round-faced man left. They are all big businessmen, and their minimum assets exceed 100 million. Fen Lin wasted no time, taking Wen Ning's hand and walking in. Stop. You can't come in. The security guard blocked Fen Lin's way. Chapter 293. How much does it cost per night? Fen Lin frowned. I just came out. Did you forget? Sorry, I really forgot. The banquet is still going on and only a handful of people are leaving. I really haven't seen you yet. The lead security guard said calmly and with a look of attitude. Only then did Fen Lin remember that he had thrown away the wig and beard. The round-faced man behind him snorted and left. Brother, forget it. I understand if you want to show off in front of girls. Wen Ning also raised his head suspiciously. Could it be that Fen Lin just wanted to show off? In front of him. Zhao Li also walked over, crossed her arms, and said angrily, why are we still doing business here? You don't even know that you have been deceived. Fen Lin took out his cell phone and sent a message to Zhu Boying, asking her to come pick him up. Wait a moment, someone will pick us up soon. Fen Lin looked at Wen Ning with a smile. Brother, stop pretending, I'm ashamed to expose you. The round-faced man couldn't help but shook his head. At this moment, Zhu Boying and Wen Renxi, who were holding red wine in the distance, appeared at the door. Many young people outside the door immediately became excited when they saw Wen Renxi. Wen Renxi. I love you. Wen Renxi, my goddess. I stole batteries to support you. When they called Wen Renxi, they noticed Zhu Boying next to her. Many people were surprised. Why didn't they remember that there were such beautiful stars in China? Security, let him in, he's my friend. Wen Renxi said to the security guard with a smile. The security guard seemed surprised and immediately moved out of the way, bowing his head towards Fen Lin. I'm sorry, sir. As for Zhao Li and her boyfriend behind her, they were stunned. Is this man really Wen Renxi's friend? Wen Ning couldn't believe it either and felt like his head was turning to mush. Come in. Fen Lin looked at Wen Ning and walked in first. Wen Ning timidly followed Fen Lin, although his dream was to become a great businessman. However, this was the first time he had seen such a big scene. The people who drink here are all famous businessmen who often appear on financial shows. Hey, haven't we seen you in a few seconds and you went out with a beautiful woman again? Zhu Boying said bitterly. This is my friend. He wanted to take a photo of Wen Renxi, so I brought him along. Fen Lin patted Wen Ning on the shoulder. Wen Ning was still a little cautious. She took out her phone tremblingly and asked, Can I? Of course. Wen Renxi nodded with a smile and took the initiative to approach Wen Ning. Wen Ning picked up his phone, pressed the camera button with a slight tremor, and took several photos. Thank you. Wen Ning put the phone into his pocket excitedly and thanked Wen Renxi repeatedly. It doesn't matter. Wen Renxi smiled and shook his head. Do you want to take a photo of Guya? Fen Lin asked. No need, I'm already very happy. Wen Ning was not a star fan, but she still knew a lot about the rumors about the two of them. The two are duds. Since Fen Lin was friends with Renxi, who was a news reporter, he naturally had a bad relationship with Guya. Fen Lin looked at Guya that far away and waved at her. The many youths surrounding Guya had unhappy expressions on their faces. Who do you think you are? Can you call Miss Guya? A tall man in a blue suit shouted, pointing at Fen Lin. Wen Ning's expression suddenly changed and he gently pulled Fen Lin's arm. He also felt that Fen Lin was rude since he was a big star. Okay, that's my friend. Guya smiled at the man next to her and walked over with a smile. The man in the blue suit narrowed his eyes and looked in Fen Lin's direction. Wen Ning froze on the spot and her brain seemed to have stopped thinking. Who was Fen Lin? He and Guya are also friends. Could it be a stylist? My friend wants to take a photo of you and help me. Fen Lin smiled and pushed the stunned Wen Ning away. Of course. Guya smiled and nodded. As if in a dream, Wen Ning took a photo of Guya in a daze. After taking a group photo, Wen Ning thanked him repeatedly and finally left satisfied. Before leaving, he secretly glanced at Fen Lin and made sure to thank him afterwards. Fen Lin, let's go, nothing's wrong here. Zhu Boying originally thought she was invited and she was a heavyweight guest. After coming here, I realized that this is still a world of rich families. Leave her completely alone. An ordinary entrepreneur like her is not even qualified to communicate in a private room. However, his trip was worth it. This time we had a great time chatting with Wenrenxi. Wenrenxi also agreed to be a spokesperson for her company for free and only had to pay her for some high-end skincare products. After Zhuruan had a deep exchange with Wenrenxi, they discovered that this person was quite good. The two exchanged contact information and prepared to have good communication later. Zhuruan took Fenlin's hand and left. Fenlin said goodbye to Wenrenxi and Guya. "Where is Linder?" Fenlin asked. "What spirit?" "Follow me." Zhuruan puffed her cheeks slightly. Today he clearly understood that this Wanlinger was also a serious problem. The two are relatives, and their parents are very afraid of the Wang family. Although he couldn't beat Jingujiak and the others, he at least dared to scold her. But in front of Wanlinger, he would definitely file a complaint. After putting Fenlin into the car, Zhuruan took a deep breath and now felt like the company had become a sideline. Striving to improve is the way to go. Fenlin held the back of his head with both hands and closed his eyes in deep thought. Currently, he also feels that his strength is somewhat insufficient, so he took the time to ask the second master if there's any way to quickly improve in the realm of penetration. "I miss you, Linger, again." Zhuruan put on her seatbelt and looked at Fenlin sadly. "You said we've been together for a while. When did you say something nice to me?" Fenlin knew that Zhuruan was a sharp-tongued person. To describe it in modern terms, it is tsundere. Although this type of character is good, it is not good to always be like this. Fenlin was very happy to see a woman like Zhuruan acting flirtatiously towards him. HNPH. Zhuruan rolled her eyes at Fenlin and prepared to take Fenlin to a restaurant for dinner before returning to Jiabai. After the vehicle made a few turns, Zhuruan looked in the rearview mirror and suddenly said, "Someone is following us." Fenlin nodded slightly and finally made some progress. "Ignore them, you are an ancient warrior now, those people behind you are all ordinary people." At least, it was the rich and jealous second generation who couldn't stand a close relationship between Fenlin and the two celebrities. "Okay, let's eat here." Zhuruan parked the car next to an outdoor tent, which was also much more convenient for fighting. After the two got out of the car, the hotel owner hurriedly approached them. He must be a rich man who drove such a car. "Boss, 2 bowls of fish-flavored shredded pork rice." Fenlin looked at the menu on the table and said with a smile. "Okay, right now." The boss nodded and trotted into the restaurant. Fenlin and Zhuruan had just sat down when the car behind them also arrived. 5 strong men came down from above. The hairy-ish man in the lead looked at Zhuruan with a smile on his face. "Shit. Beauty, how much is it per night?" Fenlin slammed the table and stood up suddenly. "Brush." The leader of the group, the man Malkin, appeared from his sleep with a dagger and placed it in front of Zhuruan's neck. Chapter 294. Boy, tell her you love her. The hairy man dragged Zhuruan's body and said sternly, "If you dare to shout, I will kill you." He immediately took Zhuruan and retreated to the small alley next to him. Fenlin followed closely behind. Several strong men around noticed Fenlin's arrival and took out daggers from their pockets. A strong man with thin eyes smiled and said, "Brother Mao, leave this person to me." "Stop, usually at this time, I like to test the relationship between men and women." Brother Mao smiled slightly. Zhuruan in front. Owen was so beautiful. If she was completely disappointed in Fenlin, she might as well take advantage of it. He would be willing to play with such a beauty and lose a year or 2 of his life. Several people around also stopped, ready to watch the joke. Originally, Zhuruan was planning to take action when she heard him say that he wanted to test the relationship between the two. I was also curious and wanted to see what this person would do. "Boy, is this beauty your girlfriend?" Brother Mao asked. Fenlin nodded. "She is my wife." "It's okay. Since she is your wife, she is easy to handle." Brother Mao pointed to the half-brick at Fenlin's feet. "Pick it up and break your leg yourself, and I will do it to you." "Let him go." "Her, otherwise I will disfigure her with the dagger." "Damn. Brother Mao still knows how to play. We can complete the task without having to do anything." "Yes, I won't be afraid. After all, he called the police himself. After all, he did it himself." Several people around looked at Fenlin with disdain. "It's okay to be disfigured. This girl relies on her beauty to fool me all day. When it gets ugly, it should be a piece," Fenlin said calmly. "Do I clean it?" "Do you think I'm joking?" Brother Mao was a little confused. There really are men who don't like beautiful wives. I've wanted to divorce this woman for a long time. I don't have the conscience to be a wife at all. I have been married for so many days and I won't let him touch her. Fenlin pursed her lips. "Fenlin, I think you've said what's on your mind, right?" Zhuruan's face suddenly became cold. Beauty, look at this kind of man, he's not worthy of you. Brother Mao smiled and stretched out his hand, ready to land in front of Zhuang. Who do you think you are? He deserves it. When is it your turn to fart? Zhuang slapped Brother Mao. Boom. Brother Mao's body flew directly and hit the wall next to him. Shit. Brother Mao's head was bleeding. No, he couldn't believe how powerful this woman was. Lin, explain it to me clearly, or I'll beat you up. Do it for me. Brother Mao stood up from the ground and turned out to be a tigress. No wonder this guy wants a divorce. Boom. The guys were about to deal with Zhuang when she hit the wall next to them. The bricks on the wall shattered and cobwebs the size of millstones appeared. Seeing this, several people died of fear. This is not a tigress, she is a superwoman. Instead, they sympathized with this man. He must have been bullied a lot at home. Brother Mao had quick eyesight and quick hands. He immediately grabbed Lin's shoulder and put the dagger to his neck. Don't come or I will kill your man. If you kill him, you will all die. Zhuang step by step moving forward, I hope you kill him. If he dies, I will remarry. Smelly bitch, stop nagging. Brother Mao stopped Lin. In this time he made this woman angry again. Several people couldn't eat and were walking. The only way to remedy the situation now is to reconcile the two. In this case, the hostage in your hands will work. Boy. Tell her you love her, tell her. Brother Mao yelled at him, or I'll kill you. I won't tell you. Kill her if you want. Lin seemed determined. Boy, no, brother, you have to be more generous as a man. Where can you find such a beautiful wife? Brother Mao looked at Zhuang who was approaching, and his hands were shaking with fear. He immediately became a love guru. What's the use of being beautiful? If you don't let me touch her, what's the difference between her and the beauties on TV? Lin said coldly. Brother Mao tried to persuade him, but then looked at Zhuang seriously. Beauty, you are not right either. Men always have needs. Look at how handsome your husband is. Shut up. I'll give you 3 seconds. Kill him, right? I will kill you if you make a move. Zhuang said coldly. Brother Mao and the younger brother behind him were trembling with fear. Mud. This woman is really crazy. I don't want to do this anymore. He pushed Lin forcefully towards Zhuang and ran away. Lin hurried over, hugged Zhuang, and said with a smile, Honey, how are my acting skills? Humph, how many people say the real words jokingly? Zhuang pushed Lin and walked out. You're the one who doesn't like me, you don't like me for not being with you, that. I don't dislike it. Lin hugged Zhuang from behind and kissed her on the cheek. Anyway, he opened the matter. In a sense, Zhuang was the first wife he recognized. 2 groups of red clouds appeared on Zhuang's cold face. He broke free, lowered his head, and said in a soft voice like a mosquito, Be obedient from now on, and I will let you in every week you let me eat. Lin also seemed anxious, but you should say it. You're thinking too much. Seeing Lin's miserable look, Zhuang pinched Lin angrily. I'll let you touch me for 10 seconds every week. How is this enough? Are you kidding me? Lin shot. He returned Zhuang's hand. Zhuang raised the corner of her mouth. I don't care. Oh, I understand. Lin suddenly showed a meaningful smile. What do you know? My wife liked the feeling last time. I remember it was 10 seconds last time. Lin looked at Zhuang and chuckled. Give me 10 seconds specifically because you want me to do this kind of thing. You're talking nonsense. There's not even a second left. Zhuang's face turned red and she trotted back to the dining table in the distance. After the two at dinner, Zhuang took Lin back. His cheeks were flushed all the time and he glanced at Lin secretly from time to time. Return to Cloud City. It's already 3 in the afternoon. Zhuang went towards the opposite door without stopping. Lin also followed him and gathered the Dead Knight members to prepare for a small meeting. This time it also includes the 2nd master's degree. Today I met the 9th sect master and I can't beat him. Lin looked at the people around him and continued, I can't even defeat the 9th sect master, let alone the other sect masters. So I'm going to improve Death Yi's overall strength. We should have done this a long time ago. Men Changshan was smoking a pipe next to him. Everyone in Yi was a genius among geniuses. If this continues, it will be very bad. 2nd master, what can you do? Lin asked. Men Changshan said calmly. Nothing can progress faster than a life-and-death battle. Other members of Dead Knight, let's start carrying out national tasks. Lin nodded. Think about it with me, the 4th, 5th, 7th. Boss, now I have become very lazy and don't want to move. Yan Yuibai helplessly puffed his lips. Stop talking nonsense. I don't have high demands. I will carry out 2 encirclement and suppression missions every month. Fen Lin raised 2 fingers. Surrounding and repression missions have to do with fighting, which is the greatest training for people. This is simple. Sikon Jin nodded slightly. If it's quick, include round-trip time. I can finish 2 in a week and spend the remaining 3 weeks at home as a fat housewife. Chapter 295. Are you a human or a ghost? Jingu Jikyuhui also nodded secretly. He already knew from the second master that Fen Lin had entered the breakthrough realm. He didn't want to be too far away from Fen Lin. Yan Yuebai could only be forced to agree. In fact, at his age, when he has reached the peak of resonance, his family has already said that he is a genius. But the night she died, she was the trialist. Many times, it is her self-esteem that keeps her alive until now. Men Changsheng smoked his pipe, but Fen Lin's words still worked. I will give you a contact person immediately. From now on, our headquarters will be here. Whoever fails to complete the task every month will be whipped 100 times with the second master's crutch. Fen Lin pointed Yan's stick. Yaibai's nose, Zhaoqi, if someone dares to do trash missions and act like a bastard, I believe you know the consequences. Boss, you're thinking too much. Yan Yuebai said with a flat mouth. In fact, his original plan was to randomly do a few D-level missions every month. Just like when you get to work, spend as much time as you want. There's nothing we can do now. Okay. This elixir, 1 for each person, is used to save lives. Fen Lin gave the 3 of them black elixir respectively. Take it when the key is exhausted and you will recover immediately. I hope you never need it. Here. After the meeting, Fen Lin called Lanny and told him what happened here. Lan almost goes crazy with laughter. The members of Dead Knight are all teachers and come to perform tasks. That must be something great. Fen Lin reported Lao Qi's mobile phone number to Lanny. Afterwards, they can perform tasks on their mobile phones. Fen Lin pushed Men Changsheng's wheelchair to the corner of the courtyard. In the distance, Zhuowen was fighting with Jingu Jikyuhui's men. Everyone has gone to do their homework, why don't you go? Men Changsheng asked with a smile. You still don't understand me. I'm not suited for tasks. Fen Lin leaned on the armrest of his wheelchair. In my opinion, there are only 2 types of enemies. You told me that. Haha, instant kill and invincible. Men Changsheng smiled and shook his head. He once gave Fen Lin a minute's worth of insight. As long as he can survive Fen Lin's killer move for 1 minute. That proves that this person's strength must far surpass Fen Lin. There is absolutely no need to fight. Furthermore, Fen Lin had an easier way to improve his cultivation, which was to retreat into seclusion. His retirement is different from ordinary people's retirement. Being confined, to put it bluntly, I am afraid of death. You can only use the safest method to improve your crop. For example, the elder of the 9th sect who is at the peak of his spiritual acuity. He is in retreat. If you don't dare to fight to the death with people of the same level, you can only use this method. The advantage of retreating is that you won't die. The disadvantage is that it is slow. It is possible to advance to a higher level in 10 or 20 years. If you don't retreat, you can only rely on this method of death. Fight to the death, beyond the limits. The advantage is that it is fast. The downside is that it is risky and easy to die. But Fen Lin was different. His retreat was a little worse than a life-and-death battle. He is simply a person who exists for spiritual practice. Second Master, I'm going to seclude myself for a few days. If anything happens, remember to call me, Fen Lin said with a smile. Okay, Men Changsheng nodded. Fen Lin took advantage of Zhuowen's rest and stepped forward to tell him that there was another mission from above. Zhuowen did not say anything, after all, it was a national mission and could not be refused. He can only work hard secretly, and when he becomes a strong person, he will be able to go on missions with Fen Lin to protect his safety. Fen Lin carried his backpack with mineral water and instant noodles and headed to the mountains. Wild mountains and ridges. There were no human beings around, only the sounds of animals and birds could be heard. Fen Lin stepped on the ground and a dark red key turned all the fallen leaves and weeds under his feet into ashes. After that, he jumped a little and hung his backpack on the branch. Ready. Fen Lin lay down on the ground, crossed his fingers in front of him, and began a single retreat. Buzz. In an instant, the ground beneath Fen Lin exploded and collapsed. The left half of his body glowed with a dark red light and the right half glowed with a dark blue light. 2 lights appeared at the same time. No one could tolerate anyone else, so they started fighting each other. This is Fen Lin's way of retreat, allowing the 2 types of ki in the body to constantly compete. In essence, Fen Lin's confrontation was almost the same as fighting with others. The only difference is the psychological aspect, because he knows he can't die. So in comparison, it is definitely not as good as a real-life or death battle. Just like doing push-ups, add one more each day. Same physique. One relies on self-discipline. If a person cannot do it, they will be killed. The latter is usually the one who wins in the end. The same goes for spiritual practice. Psychologically, it plays an important role. In the realm of penetration, he is completely released. This movement is not small. The entire mountain forest was shaking violently and the earth was cracked. The birds flew away in fear and the beasts flagged, not daring to approach this place. He completely dissipated and Feng Lin was forced to break free. This is the time to go beyond your limits and truly surpass yourself. In the blink of an eye, 7 days passed. It began to rain lightly during this period, but Feng Lin still did not stop. Let the rain hit you. Now he looked dead, covered in dry dirt. A young man and woman appeared in the forest. They were both about 17 or 18 years old. The man was wearing short sleeves and black jeans. His body was dark and seemed to have been exposed to the wind and sun. The woman wears black sports clothes, has short hair, a round face, and looks very cute. Xiaoran, let's go back. Didn't the people in the village say that? The mountain god is angry. The man took the woman's arm and whispered, stop making trouble and leave quickly. Brother, those old people I have never gone to school. Haven't we been there yet? Where is the mountain god? I must find the cause of the vibration. Xiaoran shook off his brother's hand and continued searching nearby. Suddenly, Xiaoran saw Feng Lin's figure, lying in a huge pit. His clothes and face were covered in dirt. Dry and lay motionless. Dead man. Xiaoran was so scared that she quickly hid behind the man. Don't be afraid. I will protect you. The man stood in front of Xiaoran, looked at Feng Lin in the distance, and approached cautiously. Feng Lin's eyelashes trembled a few times and he opened his eyes. Someone is approaching. It seems that this place is not. He can't stay. He sat up from the ground, supported the big tree next to him, and stood up. Ah! Ghost! Seeing the scene, the man turned pale with fear and shouted. Don't be afraid. Feng Lin gently patted his body and found that the dirt had stuck to him, so he had to get closer to. Are you a human or a ghost? Xiaoran hid behind his brother and poked his head out to ask. It rained a few days ago. I slipped and was unconscious. I didn't wake up until now. Feng Lin walked over and explained. It scared me. Xiaoran walked out and said with a smile, go back to me in Washington. You're as dirty as a ghost. Okay, thank you. Feng Lin nodded with a smile. Followed behind the two of them. On the way, Feng Lin learned that the two were brothers and sisters. The man's name was Muga and the woman were called Muran. They live at the foot of a distant mountain. The mountains have been shaking for the past few days, especially in the dead of night, and they can be heard clearly. One after another they plan to come and take a look. To the town at the foot of the mountain. His house is the closest to the mountain. It is a brick house. We're back. Muran shouted with a smile as soon as he entered the door. Xiaoran Zhouhui. At this moment, a woman walked out of the living room. She looked about the same age as Feng Lin. Feng Lin looked at this woman and couldn't help but exclaimed, fuck. Chapter 296. Just because you can't cure him doesn't mean I can't cure him. The reason why Feng Lin was surprised was that the body of the woman in front of him did not conform to the basic structure of the human body. She looks very thin, even thinner than a fresh beauty like Zhao King. But there was something disproportionate in front of her. The visual impact is better than Zhu Boying. In terms of size, she is definitely not as good as Zhu Boying. But many times size is relative. Like a grown man holding 2 basketballs and a little boy holding 2 soccer balls. In pure comparison, basketball is definitely better than football. But combined with his body proportions, he is definitely better at football. This is the situation of the person in front of me. Feng Lin touched his chin and thought deeply. Based on her many years of experience, this woman should have a belly. But judging by its vibrational tendency, it seems real. Unless the other party allows Feng Lin to try it himself. But how can you say this? Who was he? Mu Xiaoyu looked unhappy. This man had been staring at him since he saw him. He was very rude. Although I was used to these types of looks. Sister. Why are you back? When Muran saw this woman, he immediately ran over, bumped into Mu Xiaoyu, and rubbed his head against her. Feng Lin's pupils suddenly shrank and his eyes were half-lidded. Based on the vibrations and waves caused by the collision, he was sure. It's true. It's okay. I just came back to see you. Mu Xiaoyu pointed at Feng Lin again. Who is it? I picked up this man from the mountain. What happened to Muran was told word by word. Tell Mu Xiaoyu. It's true. Mu Xiaoyu looked at Muga in the distance again and knew that Muga was a very honest person. Sister. That's right. Mu also nodded. Fen Lin smiled and said, "Excuse me, I'm going to clean up and leave right away. I can give you money." Fen Lin didn't bring a wallet this time, just a mobile phone. Your mobile phone is specially manufactured in that country and has the latest technology. It has waterproof function, so it can be used even in the sea, let alone getting caught in the rain. There is no need to pay. Muhalu looked at Muhui. "Shuhui, give him a bucket of water." "Okay," Muhui nodded. This ordinary family from a mountain village has no bathroom. Muhui filled a bucket of water from the water tank next to the courtyard and carried it to the back of his house. Right here, Muhui smiled at Fen Lin. "Thank you, friend." Fen Lin smiled and nodded. "This young man is good." She took off all her clothes, bent over and put her head in the bucket to wash her hair. "After that, I had a small tun and washed my body here. Finally, I washed my clothes and put them wet." He released key lightly, evaporating the water stains on his clothes. Fen Lin's clothes emitted a white mist and finally dried. He scooped the water out of the bucket and carried it to the front yard. Finding that the three people at home were chatting in the living room, Fen Lin walked in with a smile. The living room has antique decor, which appears to be at least 10 or 20 years old. "Thank you. My name is Fen Lin. I will leave if nothing happens." Fen Lin smiled at the three people here. "Well, I won't reveal it." Muhalu smiled politely at Fen Lin. Fen Lin nodded and didn't stay here for long. Walking on this mountain road, there are some old men and women chatting on the nearby streets. Generally, in places like this, young people will choose to go out to work. There is no way to protect yourself by simply working in your hometown. Just when he reached the foot of the mountain, Fen Lin smelled the smell of blood and there were many villagers surrounding him in the distance. Fen Lin took a closer look and found that someone had hit him here. A short-haired young man wearing a designer suit pressed his Mercedes-Benz G, drooped his ears, and said, "Sure enough, there are unscrupulous people in the poor mountains and rivers, and you still want to touch me. What are you talking about? In our town there are mostly older people. You drive fast. Is that still reasonable? A car like you should have a driving recorder. Can you show everyone who's to blame? Stop talking and call an ambulance." Xiaowei just came back. "I already called her number." As soon as the group finished speaking, a geely car drove past Fen Lin and stopped in the distance. A woman came down from above. Fen Lin raised his eyebrows in surprise. This person was Mu Zhao. "I didn't expect her to be a doctor." "Stand aside, the little fish is coming." A middle-aged man with half-white hair pushed everyone away. Only then did Fen Lin see an ant lying on the ground, who looked as if she had hit her head. He hesitated for a moment and then approached. If he didn't act, this woman would definitely die. If you're in a good mood today, do something good. Xiaowei, this person came with an advance and I didn't have time to slow down. The young man noticed Mu Xiaowei coming and immediately explained with a smile. "Ma Xiaoshan, are you going to kill someone and still laugh?" Mu Xiaowei was furious. He looked at the man coldly and looked at the woman on the ground. "I didn't mean to. Besides, my car is fully insured and I can't afford it," Ma Xiaoshan said with an indifferent expression. The surrounding villagers were angry, they were so inhumane. "Brat, do you think you can talk like that?" An old man took out the eggs he had just bought and threw them at Ma Xiaoshan's face. The egg opened and the yolk and white flowed all over Ma Xiaoshan's face. "Damn. Do you know who I am?" Ma Xiaoshan touched his face and kicked the old man. Fen Lin immediately kicked a pebble at his feet and hit Ma Xiaoshan accurately in the leg. Ma Xiaoshan screamed in pain and fell to the ground with a plop. Seeing this, the surrounding villagers gathered and kicked and punched Ma Xiaoshan. Ma Xiaoshan immediately covered his head, flew towards the car, and shouted, "If you have the ability to smash my car, see if I don't let you lose everything." When the people around saw this, they could only stop. Powerless. "Xiaowei, how is Aunt Sun?" asked a silver-haired old woman next to her. Mu Xiaowei bit her lips and gently placed the woman's head on the ground. "Miss, Sunday is gone." Hearing this, everyone around her wailed. In this small town, the population is not large and each household knows everyone. As a family. He was fine at the moment, but they just killed him like that. Aunt Sun's head was seriously injured. If she were in the emergency room now, she could still be saved, but we are far from the city and there's no time. Mu Xiaowei shook her head slightly. "Crazy. You brat. Get down from here and I'll fight for you." An old man kept banging his fist on the car window. At this moment, Fen Lin squatted in front of the woman and, without saying a word, took out 4 silver needles from his belt. "Quickly drop the needles on women." "What are you doing?" "Stop it." Mu Xiaowei found out that it was Fen Lin and stopped him immediately. Although he studied Western medicine, he also knew about acupuncture. The place where Fen Lin stabbed was not an acupoint at all, it was obvious the erratum stabbing. Just because you can't cure it doesn't mean I can't cure it. Fen Lin looked at Mu Xiaoyu indifferently, but he didn't stop moving his hands. Xiaoyu, you said it's useless anyway. Maybe someone can find a way to treat the dead horse like a living horse, doctor, an older man approached. Chapter 297 Miraculous Doctor. Mr. Yu, this man is acting completely randomly. Ouch. As Mu Xiaoyu spoke, she suddenly covered her head in pain. Fen Lin plucked 2 hairs from his head. Fen Lin took out another short needle and inserted her hair into the needle hole. The speed is very fast, and the brain wound is sutured in that blink of an eye. What are you doing? Mu Xiaoyu pushed Fen Lin and said fiercely, how can you use hair as a suture? Fen Lin turned a deaf ear. Everything was ready. Fen Lin took out the silver needle on the side of his chest. Wake up. After saying that, Fen Lin stood up. Wake up, man, squawk, autumn. Before Mu Xiaoyu could finish speaking, Aunt Sunday on the ground suddenly coughed and woke up weakly. Wake up. Really wake up. No way, after bleeding so much, he actually recovered. A miracle doctor. A miracle doctor. Mu Xiaoyu's eyes almost popped out. How could it be possible? Everything he did know was clearly out of line. But why did Aunt Sunday wake up? Don't do strenuous exercise these days. Once the wound has healed, remember to go to the hospital to remove the stitches. Fen Lin held all the silver needles in his hand, disinfected them with key, and then inserted them into his belt. He put his hands in his pants pockets and left without looking back, hiding his merit and fame. Wait a minute. Remember your name is Fen Lin. Wait a minute. Mu Xiaoyu quickly stood up and greeted Fen Lin. He finally understood it, but he couldn't understand it, which meant that he didn't have enough skills. He was obviously about to die, but was saved by Fen Lin. This is what you see in public, and it is definitely not fake. It was enough to prove that the person in front of him was a miracle doctor, and Mu Xiaoyu was originally a doctor in the hospital. When dealing with older people, you have to be patient and ask for advice. What's happening? Fen Lin calmly turned back, his eyes always falling involuntarily in front of the other party. Sir, I am an attending physician and I would like to ask you for advice. Mu Xiaoyu looked respectful, as if it was someone else who was suspicious of Fen Lin just now. I teach you, but you can't learn it. Study your own knowledge. Fen Lin waved his hand. He originally planned to remain secluded for half a month, but someone broke in. I was going to find a quiet place again. Sir, I beg you. Mu Xiaoyu ran a few steps and stood in front of Fen Lin. His eyes were full of solemnity and he stretched out his hand to block Fen Lin. There is a patient in my hospital, sir. Sir, please respect yourself. Mu Xiaoyu lowered his head and gently pulled out his hand. Brat. How dare you eat Xiaoyu's tofu? Ma Xiaoshan, who was in the Mercedes-Benz, put down the glass, stuck his head out, and shouted. Boom. As soon as his head came out, half a brick hit him in the face. Ah. He screamed in pain and immediately raised the car window. Fen Lin lowered his hand and said, I was just checking my pulse. You are really interesting. We can chat. Okay. Mu Xiaoyu nodded enthusiastically. A miracle doctor like Fen Lin is definitely not disgusting. Man. She believed that Fen Lin was feeling her pulse right now. After Mu Xiaoyu said goodbye to everyone, he took Fen Lin back. Ma Xiaoshan was also planning to follow him, but the villagers surrounded his car. Oops, we have called the police. You can't leave now. An old man sat on the ground and stopped the car from moving forward. Sister, what happened? Muran ran out of the living room, took Mu Xiaoyu's arm and asked, okay, go watch TV first, I'll talk to this gentleman. Mu Xiaoyu pinched Muran's cheek and said with a smile, okay. Muran looked at Fen Lin and ran towards the living room. Xiaoyu moved 2 small benches to the side and motioned for Fen Lin to sit down, and she also sat down. They shouldn't be sisters, right? Fen Lin looked at Muran's back and said thoughtfully. No, my father picked me up on this mountain. Mu Xiaoyu pointed to the mountain behind him with a free and calm tone. I see. Fen Lin nodded and asked expressionlessly. Tell me, what do you want from me? There is an old man who is kind to me. He is dying now, but I can't do anything. Mu Xiaoyu's eyes trembled slightly. He knelt on the ground and bowed to Fen Lin. Please. Please. At least you have to pay a price. Kneeling down has no real effect. Fen Lin stood up from the bench, said with his hands behind his back. So, what are you going to do? Mu Xiaoyu asked nervously. I want you to promise me something. You can't refuse anything. Fen Lin showed a smile. Something. Including letting me die. Mu Xiaoyu's throat moved, but he still asked. Yes, if you want me to save him, then you are ready to die for him. Fen Lin had his own little plan in mind. Something was wrong with Mu Xiaoyu in front of him. Fen Lin had never seen those meridians before, so he needed to ask his father if he took the time. I will do it. Don't be so nervous. Why would I let you die when you're so good? Wouldn't it be nice to have you as a wife? Fen Lin smiled and spread his hands. I'm not afraid of death, let alone being your wife. Mu Xiaoyu would put aside life and death. Okay, then it's settled. Fen Lin nodded. I want to remind you. Mu Xiaoyu suddenly looked at Fen Lin, you need to cure the other person's illness before I agree. Well, I know. Fen Lin nodded. Let's go there now. Mu Xiaoyu returned to the living room, explained to the two, and got into the car with Fen Lin. When I arrived at the foot of the mountain, I found that Ma Xiaoshan was still trapped here and that the agents of the police had already arrived. Why don't you talk to your parents about such an important matter as my wife? Fen Lin asked with a smile. No need. Mu Xiaoyu shook his head slightly. But her mother's personality is exactly the opposite. She treats her badly since she was a child, and since her father went to work in a big city, she has almost become a servant of the family. She cooks, washes dishes, does laundry and sweeps the floor. In recent years, she became an attending physician and slowly began to earn money for her family. His mother's attitude just changed. Mu Xiaoyu drove to the local prefecture-level city called Lianship. This place also belongs to Jiabai. Mu Xiaoyu drove to her rented house first and got a medical kit. Then we arrived at a mansion. The security guard here knew Mu Xiaoyu, and since Mu Xiaoyu was carrying a medical kit, he might have come to see the teacher again. Then everyone moved out of the way and did not block it. Arriving at the villa, Mu Xiaoyu found several unknown people sitting here. Dr. Mu, didn't my dad say that? You don't have to come back. A middle-aged man with greasy hair and a beard said calmly. This person's name is Xiao Ji. Mr. Xiao, this time I have invited a miracle doctor and there will definitely be a solution. Mu Xiaoyu grabbed Fen Lin's arm. Miracle doctor. Just this little brat. I think you were the one who cured my dad. He could still speak well at the beginning, but now he can't. A middle-aged woman pointed at Mu Xiaoyu and shouted. Chapter 298 Healer. Only then did Mu Xiaoyu realize that the middle-aged woman with the perm in front of him was also Mr. Xiao's daughter. Mr. Xiao, you have to believe me. I am the attending doctor of the People's Hospital. This should be true, right? How could I harm the old man? Mu Xiaoyu's face was full of sincerity. She really wanted to cure Mr. Xiao. Where are the security guards? Get these two lazy people out immediately. Xiao Jian shouted at the people outside. You don't need to rush us, we'll go alone. Fen Lin took Mu Xiaoyu's arm. Fen Lin, what are you doing? You clearly promised me. Mu Xiaoyu's eyes were slightly red and she hugged Fen Lin tightly, not letting go. Don't you see? They have no intention of dealing with it at all. They are just waiting for the old man to die and divide the family property. Fen Lin pointed out to the people present. There were 7 people in total here. Long and small. Among them are 3 middle-aged people who look alike and should be brothers and sisters. 2 men and a woman. With the 3 present, there is a high probability that this is the case. What are you talking about? Come here. Get out. Xiao Jian shouted at the top of his lungs. 2 security guards came from outside the door and walked towards Fen Lin. Get out. A middle-aged man sitting on a sofa stood up and greeted the security guard. This middle-aged man is the youngest of the 3, he wears a designer suit and looks like he is about 40 years old. His name is Xiao Yu and he is Mr. Xiao's youngest son. Xiao Yu, what do you mean? This kid insulted us, shouldn't I chase him away? Xiao Jian asked with an unhappy expression. Sister, maybe there is something we can do. Xiao Yu said with a smile. Dr. Mu, let me tell you the truth. I found a better doctor, a contemporary professor at medicine, Zhang Kui. Xiao Ji walked over and said, I think Dr. Mu should have heard of it, right? It turned out to be Zhang Kui. Teacher. Mu Xiaoyu was surprised. This is a world-famous master of traditional Chinese medicine. He is currently a professor at the National Medical College, has written many medical books, and has also refined some traditional medicines. These include the most common fever and cold medications. He just talked to me on the phone and the time should be up soon. How do you think Dr. Mu compares with Mr. Zhang Kui? Xiao Ji said with a slight smile. Mr. Xiao, how can a young man like me dare to compete with contemporary masters? In this case, I feel relieved. Mu Xiaoyu looked at Fen Lin and whispered, Look, I misunderstood. An old man with a goatee walked out the door. He has white hair and a youthful face, and wears ordinary black clothing. Behind him were 2 women, probably in their 30s. They seemed to be acting like nurses. The two women carried medical kits. Mr. Zhang Kui, you are finally here. Zhao Ji saw the old man in front of him and immediately went to greet him. Brother, how much did you spend to actually invite Mr. Zhang Kui? Zhao Jian also smiled. Zhao Yuqiang and I are old acquaintances. Do you think you can buy me money? Zhang Kui gently stroked his beard, his face full of arrogance. Haha. Mr. Zhang Kui is right. How can a big shot like you run out of money? Zhao Jian laughed apologetically. She also knew this person. Not to mention the Zhao family, even the CEOs of Fortune 500 companies respected him. This type of doctor can save lives. Which of today's great businessmen does not want to live longer? Stop talking nonsense, let me see the patient quickly. Zhang Kui said calmly. Look at me, I have forgotten my business. Sir, please follow me. Zhao Ji smiled and led the way. Zhang Kui and the two nurses behind him followed. Seeing this, Mu Xiaoyu also followed everyone. What are you doing? Mr. Zhang Kui is here and you still won't leave. Zhao Jian looked at Mu Xiaoyu and Feng Lin with dissatisfaction in his eyes. Mr. Zhang Kui, I am the attending doctor of the local people's hospital. I would like to follow you and take a look. May I? Mu Xiaoyu bowed her head very respectfully. This is a true master, certified at the national level, who was much higher than Feng Lin. He also wanted to see how strong this master was. Such a young doctor. Yes, but you can only watch and not make a sound. Zhang Kui said calmly. Thank you, sir. Mu Xiaoyu was delighted. Zhang Kui had already spoken, but Zhao Jian was too embarrassed to say anything. Feng Lin was considered Mu Xiaoyu's man and walked in naturally. In the bedroom on the villa side, when I opened the door, I immediately smelled the smell of medicine. Lying on the hospital bed next to him was an elderly bald man with an oxygen tube in his nose. Feng Lin simply walked in and patted his nose a few times. As soon as I entered, I smelled the smell of those insects playing. As expected, the old man was not sick, but possessed by poison. It seems that this old man called a miracle doctor has nothing to do. Zhao Yuqiang, who was lying on the hospital bed, looked at the people coming in. His throat moved a few times, but he only made a hoarse moan. Old Zhao. Stop talking, let me take a look. Zhang Kui walked over and the nurse standing on the side immediately brought him a chair. Another nurse opened the medicine box and took out all the medical equipment inside. Zhang Kui sat down and checked Zhang Kui's pulse first. He frowned, turned around and said, Bring me Lao Zhao's physical examination report. Zhao Ji immediately took out all of Zhao Yuqiang's physical examination reports from the bed next to him. Zhang Kui carefully observed the physical examination report and his eyebrows gradually knit together. Zhao Yu immediately asked from the side, Sir, how are you? Hello, Zhang Kui sighed deeply. Hearing this sigh, several people present became tense. There is no problem with the body and there is no problem with the physical examination. In this situation, it is obvious that life is over. Zhang Kui shook his head. Zhao Jian immediately lay down in front of Zhao Yuqiang's hospital bed and screamed. Sir. That's not right. Since you are at the end of your life, why did you vomit blood from time to time before now you can't use your throat? Mu Xiaoyu asked from the side. Are you questioning me? Isn't it normal for old age to cause visceral failure and vomiting blood? Zhang Kui looked at Mu Xiaoyu expressionlessly. Bold. You, a little doctor, dare to doubt a national-level professor. Zhao Jian also pointed at Mu Xiaoyu and shouted. Woo! Woo! At this moment, Zhao Yuqiang, who was lying on the hospital bed, made a sound. Look. My dad is trying to hurt you, why don't you come out? Zhao Jian said sternly. Haha. This is a miracle doctor. I think you are a charlatan, right? Feng Lin put his hands in his trouser pockets and looked at Zhang Kui with a smile. You are so presumptuous. Zhao Ji's face was cold. Get out of here right now. Otherwise, I'll call the police. Don't do it. I like to argue with young people. Zhang Kui looked at Feng Lin indifferently and said condescendingly, Let's say I'm a quack, get the evidence. All right. Feng Lin took a step forward and suddenly grabbed Zhao Yuqiang's wrist tightly, and the other person's entire hand began to become engorged with blood. Feng Lin took out a silver needle and pricked it into Zhao Yuqiang's fingertip. A dark yellow liquid flowed from the fingertip. Miracle doctor, tell me, since you are aging naturally, why is your blood this color? Feng Lin asked calmly. This, Zhang Kui's pupil shrank suddenly. How could this be possible? If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Mundo Fanfic Novellas, we cordially invite you to visit our channel. There you will find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 299 I will treat this person. Zhang Kui immediately took out the cotton and wiped Zhao Yuqiang's fingers. The color was more obvious on the white cotton. Not just a collapse. Mu Xiaoyu next to him also covered her mouth in shock. How can it be? Why was it not detected during the blood test? As for Zhao Yuqiang's 3 children, they are also amazing. Now that you're a charlatan, do you admit it? Fen Lin let go of Zhao Yuqiang's hand. As the color of the other person's palm gradually recovered, the dark yellow of the wound turned into blood again. Impossible. If it is a disease, it can be detected by physical examination. It still seems incredible to Zhang Kui. It's not impossible, you just don't understand it. Fen Lin took out 2 silver needles and pierced Zhao Yuqiang's throat. Say something. I can speak. Zhao Yuqiang's eyes widened in shock. Although the voice is very hoarse, everyone can hear it clearly. Dad. Can you talk now? Zhao Jian was the first to throw himself on the bed. HMPH. Don't get me wrong. Dr. Mu has gone to great lengths for me. What's your attitude? Zhao Yuqiang snorted coldly. He just wanted to silence Zhao Jian when he spoke. But she translated it as tell Mu Xiaoyu to get lost. Zhao Jian immediately lowered his head and did not dare to speak. Old Zhao, can you really speak? Zhang Kui stared at Zhao Yuqiang's neck and said in surprise. This is obviously not an acupoint, is it possible? There are other acupoints that I don't know about. There are many things you don't know. Everyone, come out, I will treat this person. Fen Lin stood with his hands behind his hands and said expressionlessly. Sir, can you let me perform? Zhang Kui looked at Fen Lin respectfully, not caring about his identity at all. As a mad doctor, he is naturally distant. When faced with the doubts of young people, I usually show disdain, but today I met a true teacher. Acupuncture points in traditional Chinese medicine that have not yet been developed. This is simply a treasure for him. Mu Xiaoyu moved her throat and was about to say that she also wanted to stay here. But Fen Lin said, I don't need you, I can do it alone. Old Zhang, come out. I still hope to see this young miracle doctor slap you in the face, ha ha, cough cough. Zhao Yuqiang was smiling and suddenly coughed. Old. Zhang Kui shook his head and bowed his head respectfully towards Fen Lin. I'll wait for you outside, sir. Everyone come out. Zhao Yuqiang looked at the people around him again. Several people also followed Zhang Kui and left. Only Mu Xiaoyu looked deeply at Fen Lin, wondering what kind of person this person was. Even Zhang Kui is not as good as him. However, nothing can be explained now. Curing it is a real thing. Mu Xiaoyu was the last to leave and closed the door. Fen Lin sat on the chair next to him, crossed his legs and asked, what do you think happened to you? Zhao Yuqiang looked at Fen Lin and smiled bitterly, as Lao Zhang said, life is over. It is not yours. Blame. Thinking this way, I went to several major hospitals for checkups and they all said nothing was wrong. When did this condition start? Fen Lin continued to ask. About 2 weeks, Zhao Yuqiang thought for a moment and said. Let me tell you, you have been poisoned. To understand it simply, you were poisoned, not the end of your life, Fen Lin explained calmly. What? Poisoned. Zhao Yuqiang's eyes widened. Not bad. Fen Lin suddenly discovered that Ash's holy gu had been actively trembling of the tip of his little finger on his left hand. He hesitated for a moment before releasing a pair of holy gu. The black light spot entered Zhao Yuqiang's neck in the blink of an eye. Fen Lin frowned and immediately put his hand on Zhao Yuqiang's neck. I found that it was very hot there and I could still feel the poison escaping in all directions. Is this eating? Fen Lin was shocked, so he released another pair of Ash's holy gu. Sure enough, these 2 also instantly entered Zhao Yuqiang's neck. Feel carefully that these 4 holy ash gus are devouring other gus. Sir, my body is so hot that it seems to be burning. Zhao Yuqiang took a deep breath and said in a low voice. Hold on. Fen Lin took out a few more silver needles and stabbed him all over his body to reduce the pain in his body. Sure enough, Zhao Yuqiang fell silent again. Buzz. In just 30 or 40 seconds, 4 psychic gu flew out of his body and landed on Fen Lin's palm. Finally it reached the tip of his little finger. Fen Lin immediately checked Zhao Yuqiang's body and couldn't help but marvel that the poison had disappeared. If he used the medical skills that Fenju taught him, he would be in trouble for a while. He did not expect to use these ashes holy gu in just a few dozen seconds. As expected of a psychic gu, he actually treats other gu as food. Only then did Fen Lin understand why ashes holy gu allowed Kai Lin to perform in person. Taking out all these silver needles and inserting them into his belt, Fen Lin asked lightly, how does it feel? It feels, sir, my body seems to be much more relaxed. Zhao Yuqiang directly took out the oxygen tube from your nose. Shaking his body slightly, he felt better. "You're almost fine," Fen Lin left. This trip was worth it, and he knew the function of Ash's holy crew. A miracle doctor. He really is a miracle doctor. Zhao Yuqian gave a thumbs up to Fen Lin. "Don't be too happy too soon. Think carefully, who have you met in the past half-month?" Fen Lin paused and said, "Let me tell you my suspicion first. The person who cast a spell on you is one of your 3 sons. 1. Why did you say this, sir?" Zhao Yuqian leaned back, sat up and asked. "If I were a cultivator and you provoked me, I would let you die the next day. Why bother me and make you look like a natural death?" Fen Lin smiled and spread his hands. "Natural death," Zhao Yuqian said to himself in a deep voice. "This is the truth. If he died suddenly without making a will, the major shareholders of the Zhao family's company would definitely find out. It is very detrimental to the 3 heirs of the Zhao family. Only by letting him die naturally could he make a will and arrange for his 3 children. Mu Xiaoyu's help a few days ago. Who do you think you are, sir?" Zhao Yuqian asked coldly. He really didn't dare to think that it was his own son who wanted him dead. "This is the first time we've met." Fen Lin rolled his eyes. "First think carefully, who did you meet half a month ago?" "The day before I got sick, our company's annual meeting. Many people came to congratulate me." Zhao Yuqian pondered for a long time before speaking. "Otherwise, I say that your illness can be cured, but it will take a long time to recover. I think the person who takes action should do it." Fen Lin gave an idea to Zhao Yuqian. "This is a good idea, just listen, sir." Zhao Yuqian nodded. After the two discussed it, Fen Lin went out and opened the door. Several people waiting in the room saw Fen Lin coming out and immediately went to greet him. "Sir, how are you?" Zhao Ji asked quickly. "I have already taken action, what else can you do?" From the rodent said calmly. Everyone discovered that Zhao Yuqian had his oxygen tube removed and was now sitting on the bed. Chapter 300 Check the body. "Dad. Are you okay?" Zhao Ji ran over first and grabbed Zhao Yuqian's hand. Zhao Jian and Zhao Yu followed closely behind. "I'm fine. This gentleman is really a god. I feel much better now." Zhao Yuqian showed a smile. He really didn't dare to think that someone would want to harm his 3 biological children in front of him. Mu Xiaoyu grabbed Fen Lin's hand and raised his head excitedly. "Mr. Miracle Doctor." Zhang Kui couldn't believe it. Zhao Yuqian was very weak just now, but now his face was gradually blushing. This is also amazing. Since acupuncture is used, it means that this person is using traditional Chinese medicine. Chinese medicine requires long-term recovery. Zhao Yuqian didn't take any medicine, how could he improve so quickly? "Miracle Doctor. I was wrong. I apologize for what happened before. I couldn't see the truth." Zhao Jian immediately approached Fen Lin, with an apologetic expression on his face. "Don't be too happy too soon," Fen Lin said calmly. "I can cure this disease, but it will take a long time to recover. If you are not careful, you will be in danger." Upon hearing this, everyone's doubts were dispelled. Otherwise, it would be too scary. It is illogical for people who are seriously ill to be cured immediately without taking medication. "Sir, I must treat my dad, no matter how much it is necessary." Zhao Ji also came to Fen Lin. "I want the country's GDP for 1 year, can you give it to me?" Fen Lin said lightly, "Don't worry, others are entrusting me. I don't want money." As he spoke, Fen Lin looked at Mu Xiaoyu. Only then did everyone realize that Mu Xiaoyu had really brought a miracle doctor. "Xiaoyu, I really want to thank you this time." Zhao Yuqian smiled at Mu Xiaoyu. "Mr. Zhao, this is serious. You have shown kindness to me and all of this is within your limits." As Mu Xiaoyu spoke, she glanced at Fen Lin secretly. "Does this guy really want to marry him?" "Sir, how long will it take for my dad to recover from his illness?" Zhao Yu walked over respectfully and asked. "Starting tomorrow, 3 days from now, it will be an extremely dangerous time. Even I am not sure. If it can persist for 3 days, it will be basically stable." Fen Lin said just to remind the assassin. "If you want Zhao Yuqian to die, it is the best time to resolve it within these 3 days. "Fen Lin, what is the success rate in these 3 days?" Mu Xiaoyu asked nervously. "We are only 60% sure. It is up to you whether you can be cured. If you are not cured, your symptoms will return in about 2 or 3 days. Fen Lin looked at Zhao Yuqian and said. "Treat. If it weren't for the Lord, I don't know if I could survive 3 days in this body. Of course I need to be treated." Zhao Yuqian said in a deep voice. "I wanted to see who would hurt him in these 3 days. After everything is over." Everyone said goodbye one after another, and Fen Lin told Zhao Yuqian that he would come to see a doctor on time tomorrow. Zhao Yuqian's 3 sons respectfully sent off Fen Lin and others. Outside the mansion, Zhang Kui hurriedly handed over to Feng Lin. Sir, if possible, can I treat you to a casual meal? No, I have to prepare medicinal materials here. You're also a big shot, go and do it. Yours. Let's do it. Feng Lin waved his hand at Zhang Kui. Sir, please give me your contact information. I will definitely visit him when I have time in the future, Zhang Kui continued. This is a senior and a medical expert like him should not miss the opportunity. Okay. Feng Lin and Zhang Kui exchanged contact information and Zhang Kui left. Satisfied. I didn't expect you to be so good. Who was your teacher? Mu Xiaolu opened the car door and asked with a smile. He's a farmer in a village, Feng Lin, sitting in the passenger seat, replied casually. That must be a lonely teacher. Mu Xiaolu exclaimed. If she marries Feng Lin in the future, she must visit him. Immediately, Mu Xiaolu's face turned slightly red. Why did she think that? She led Feng Lin to her rented place, carried the medicine box and took Feng Lin upstairs. This is an ordinary family house and there's no elevator. She lives on the 5th floor. Opening the room, it is a very ordinary decoration. Feng Lin sat on the sofa and closed her eyes. To rest. After a few days of seclusion, it was time to rest. After that, retreat again. Feng Lin, please heal this old man. Mu Xiaolu put the medical kit on the table and took the initiative to get a glass of water for Feng Lin. Don't worry, as long as you remember our agreement. Feng Lin drank the water in the glass and then patted the sofa. Sit next to me. What do you want to do? Mu Xiaolu was uneasy, but finally sat down next to Feng Lin. Feng Lin put his hand on his lap and grabbed his wrist with his other hand. This woman's body was different from that of ordinary people, but she couldn't explain why. Have you ever had any physical discomfort? For example, something different from ordinary people, Feng Lin asked. No. Mu Xiaolu shook her head. Can I check your body? Feng Lin asked again. You bastard, it turns out that you asked so many questions just to set the stage. You want to check me? Mu Xiaolu's pretty face turned red and she covered her body. Men really have nothing good. You misunderstood me. Yeah, I just wanted to check. Do you remember what you promised me? Feng Lin didn't bother to explain, so he simply admitted it. I haven't forgotten, but now you can't be 100% successful, so I'm still free. Mu Xiaolu stuck out her hand and turned her pretty face. Okay. Just wait. Feng Lin was not in a hurry, just a little curious. At noon, Mu Xiaolu originally planned to cook at home, but found that there was no food at home, so she planned to take Feng Lin to eat. I just want to ask about some medical knowledge. Feng Lin was also hungry and followed Mu Xiaolu. As soon as the two went downstairs, they found a Mercedes-Benz Jeep parked here, and Ma Xiaoshan from before got out of it. Ma Xiaoshan found Feng Lin and Mu Xiaolu leaving his house together and immediately became angry. You bastard! How dare you steal my woman? Who was your woman? Ma Xiaoshan, don't talk nonsense. Mu Xiaolu said coldly. Let's go. Mu Xiaolu, don't be so shameless and make me angry, don't try to waste time in audienship. Ma Xiaoshan's face was gloomy. He sat in the car again and looked at Feng Lin fiercely and said turn around and leave. Who is he? Feng Lin asked lightly. He's just a playboy. When he had back pain, he went to the hospital for a checkup because I treated him. After that, he chased me like crazy. Mu Xiaolu puffed her lips slightly. I would rather marry a poor guy who treats me well than marry this kind of person. It seems that I am quite suitable for you. I am quite poor, Feng Lin said with a smile. Mu Xiaolu pursed her lips, she didn't believe it. How could Feng Lin have such good medical skills and have no money? The two arrived at an ordinary small restaurant. Feng Lin ordered a bowl of noodles and Mu Xiaolu ordered a bowl of rice. Feng Lin finished eating in just 3 strokes and asked in a low voice, where is the bathroom? There is a public toilet opposite. Mu Xiaolu pointed to the street in front of the restaurant. Feng Lin nodded and left here with a smile. Several strong men got out of the vehicle in the distance. When they saw Feng Lin, they immediately followed him. The corners of Feng Lin's mouth raised slightly. It turned out that I was looking for it. The second generation of rich people really couldn't hold their breath. However, Feng Lin had a way to get closer to Mu Xiaolu. End of this chapter. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This story is completely available on Patreon. I invite you to subscribe and enjoy all the content.